There it is right there. There it is right there. You couldn't.
Hey,
that one's PG.
You were counting in your head. You're like, he's going to hit the button in T minus 10, 9.
That one is like, pretty standard. Big floppy titty freak is not bad
Anyways.
for our group.
Anyway, what's up, D&D Nation? No, I'm just kidding. Welcome. Hello, all you golden wonders out there. Welcome back to another episode of Adventures in Loxos Season 2. Which I think Season 2 shall now be titled Season 2, The Glorious Mini. And that's not the actual name of the episode. I think this is what I'm going to call the title of Adventures in Loxos Season 2, The Glorious Mini. And then you'll get like an actual episode name. So, yeah. So now on to introductions. See, I got to it faster this time. On to the introductions. In no particular order other than the way that I see it listed, we have AGTX, the Dragons.
Let me know.
Yes, he will be playing our human slayer / dragon shaman. Shaman! And he's the resident tank. Then we have Icy Hot _2305. What up, Icy? Okay, moving along. He will be playing Zoltan Heisenberg, the half-drow deep druid. Now, that's not your mama's druid. It's different. He doesn't get his powers from, nature. Or, well, he draws from nature, but he doesn't draw nature like forest nature, or the prairies, or the sunshine and the open air. No, his powers come from the deep, the caves, the mountains, underground, the cockles, if you will, the bowels.
The cocks.
Cockles? The bowels of the world, and that's Icy. Then we have Ness, or aka Android, who will be playing Android Farizon, Lord of the Manor, the half wood elf. Yeah, he's a wood elf. Half wood elf.
yeah.
Who who is a bard / paladin / saint of Corlon Larethian. And like we said before, he's got a manor. What? Yeah, so I guess we should call you Lord Android Farizon, huh? No, too bad. I'm Lord Pog. There can't be two. You can be a duke. A real cool duke.
I'm Lord Saint.
Lord Saint. I'm the Lord
Saint Lord.
Saint Lord. I don't know why you saying that, but the first thing that came to my mind to almost say, and then I didn't, but I'm gonna say it now, was the second you said that Saint Lord, I almost went, never seen a diamond in the flesh. Oh, yeah, that's a deep cut now. So yeah. Oh, and Cassid69 will get here as soon as she can. She's a little held up right now, but
I'm here.
oh, Cassid, you're here. Where are you?
See, you got the pimp hand strong.
Where are you? Oh, okay. Well, Cassid69, everybody. She's here now, and she will be.
Lord.
And she will be. She was quick. She was quick to say something. Before I even had a chance to say anything to her, like say hi or anything, she was quick to jump in and be like, ah. She's just making noises at me. She's like, I'm not getting skipped this time. And she will be playing a Garrigus, the Mycetid Pion Mentor, which a Mycetid is just basically like a mushroom folk. Like, you got lizard folk, it's a humanoid mushroom that's about the size of a halfling. So, yeah. All right.
Lord too. You forgot.
Oh,
the end to that.
Oh, and I, you're right. And I am your humble
Lord
D.
Herokin.
Lord Agargus. Oh no. Agargus Lord. Agargus Lord. I
Hail,
am
Agaricus, Lord.
of Agargus. Uh, and I am your humble DM, Lord Pog. I hope you Golden Wonders out there enjoy this, and let's get into the intro, everybody, huh?
Man, that intro just never gets old.
Oh man. Yes. So, quick recap here, and I mean quick recap. You Quill, you have finally finished all the trials of the Jingzhou and came out champion. The funny thing about the Jingzhou is that you have found out that it is just secretly a pissing match between 4 dragon brothers. And that's really what the whole purpose behind it is. It's just a pissing match between the 4 dragon brothers who also are known as the ancestors. But because you won the final round, the final trial, which was a race between the 4, you are now trying to decide on what prize you want. Do you want to be able to ask a question and receive any answer? Or do you want to accept one of their dragon breaths and add another dragon breath to your arsenal? And I think the last we left you off there is you were leaning towards the dragon breath, but you were still undecided. Zoltan and Android, you guys had a very interesting conversation with Lao D about what to do with Chu-Mi, Zoltan's fiance, because Lao D does not trust her. He thinks that she's a spy sent by the Wujin to spy on you guys. But you guys don't seem to think so. But Lao D wanted to interrogate her anyways, which is pretty Guantanamo Bay of him. But Android, you did notice that there was a bit of a change in Lao D's personality about this whole matter. But once the whole thing was settled, he agreed with you guys and went to fetch the Bunzai to watch over her while you guys are gone, to go check on Agargus, because Agargus has vanished yet again. Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, classic Agargus. Zoltan and Chu-Mi have had a nice little moment together now while waiting for Lao D to return. But Zoltan's mind is somewhat troubled and puzzled because his hourglass seems to kind of function on its own. And he's wondering, does that mean it's actually sentient? Or is it functioning based solely upon like, well, I guess you could say user preferences? Like, does it just act because it can sense what he needs, and so it does what's best for him? Or he's not entirely sure. But he's pondering what the warlock Black Tome told him when he was over on the continent of Norscorn, when he said that he theorized that perhaps it's tethered to something else. You know, that there's a outside source of power, as it were, perhaps generating it. So, you Quill, Android, you had a pretty somber moment there, bud.
He did.
Yeah, I don't really what's the word? I don't want to besmirch that moment by assuming what Android is going through this explanation. So I'm not going to. What I'm going to suggest is that you Golden Wonders, if anything, listen to the last session. And if you don't want to listen to the whole 3 hours of it, just go to the mark of 3 hours, I believe 16 minutes and 54 seconds or somewhere around that, and re-listen to that. But yeah, Android, he's like a bridge over troubled waters right now. And that's the best I can give, you know, and that's the best I'm gonna do, right?
Pretty well true.
Well, thank you. Agaragus, you decided to go on a little nature trail hiking type of thing. And you found yourself in quite the predicament, didn't you? You are currently being attacked by one of the wildlife, the fauna of the continent of Pangshun and the shogunate of the Dragoon. A giant hog who seems to be made out of bark and grass is trying to maul your face off of your face. And you've done pretty good at trying to avoid it so far, but it's on its feet now, and it's staring you down, ready to charge. And I believe that's where we're going to start this session, is at this tense moment, dun dun dun, of Agaragus versus the Brush Hog. So, Agaragus, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which this is going to be a funny way to start this up, because I think it was actually the Brush Hog's turn. When we... Oh, no, I guess it's you. Okay. I'm looking at the turn order right now. Unless I just wasn't fooling with the turn order last session. But I'm not going to go back and listen to that whole thing just to see who went last right now. So we're just going to go with what the turn order says. And if it was supposed to be its turn, that's my mistake. And take your turn there, Agaragus. What do you want to do about this Brush Hog?
He's not over top of me right now, right?
No, he's just staring you down. He's staring you down. He's like in your face, but he's not on you. No.
Okay, can I just sneeze on him? Like
Yeah,
use my little spore thing?
sure.
Let's just arrange this.
Is it a range attack?
Well, I mean, it's a ranged touch attack, so it doesn't really matter. It's a ranged touch. It's kind of like burning hands, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to necessarily be at range to use it.
Well, but does she roll a ranged attack, I guess, is the question.
Oh, yes. Yes, you're going to roll a ranged touch attack, yes. My bad. I guess I misunderstood what you were asking.
Thank you, sorry.
It's okay. Honestly, I was overthinking it, if I'm being honest.
That'll just be the ranged macro on the page, though, right?
Yeah, you just roll a ranged. What's going to happen is this. What's going to be different about this is its AC. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, gotcha.
which I'm currently looking up right now for this. Now, do you have your information with you? Are you gonna know what to roll if you hit and all of that?
I mean, we got her page pulled up. She rolled the ranged attack.
Okay, let me check something here because I do. I have it too, and I don't know if it's on her page. Does it say what damage she rolls anywhere?
Oh, let me double check. I think it's in her weapons. For the spore burst, it is 9d6 plus 2.
+2. Okay. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she hit too. I haven't actually looked at it yet cuz I don't know.
Oh, I did.
Oh yeah, yeah, you sure did. You sure did. Okay, so you blast him. Roll your damage.
Okie doke.
Okay. So you haul back and you wah, smash him with you know, with a lot of force. And you watch as it takes a few steps back and is just squealing out, wait, wait, wait. The fur, the grassy like fur on its back looks like long grass in a high wind, as it takes that whole damage. And you realize that even though its body looks like it's made out of bark and the grass of the fur, you realize that its tusks, however, appear unfazed. That actually looks like it's made out of a different substance and upon further inspection you realize that that substance. You've grown up around that before. Its tusks are made out of stone. And once it takes that blast, it haunches down and looks at you now with all the menace in its eyes. And it charges into you. Let's see. What is it? Oh. Okay. Agargus, what is your what do you call it? What is your AC?
19.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he smacked you. So he comes in there and just and just hits you, man. He's gonna go for a trample.
And he's not gonna win.
He's not gonna win this time. That
He hit you.
or he's going for an overrun is actually what it's actually called. My bad. Oh, 8. Um. Okay, go for a you can go for a reflex or you can just try to block. It's up to you.
I'm gonna try to do a reflex.
A reflex? Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it. All right. So he comes trampling into you and tries to overrun you, but you manage to get out of the way. But as you're getting out of the way, you have to step to the side, and it quickly turns its body and tries to maul you again with its second attack. Good grief. Garrigus? All right.
Yeah.
And he hits. So
No.
So what did he? Oh yeah. Okay, so I didn't roll for the damage the last time, so I'm just gonna go ahead and roll both his damages right now. I almost forgot. I almost forgot to roll his damage. Boy, that'd have been bad, huh?
No, that would have been fine.
Yep. Okay, so a combined attack of 32. I mean, just so he hits you, bashes into you that first time, and then tries to overrun you, but you move out of the way, and then he spins around and hits you again. So that's his turn right there. So, knock 32 off of your health, and it is your turn again.
So does he is he near me?
So but you need to knock 32 off of your health. So
Right.
yeah, it'll be on your character sheet where it says max HP and then current HP. Put yeah. There you go. Oh yeah, I'm watching. I'm watching everybody's character sheets now because I don't use tokens
Mind your
anymore.
business.
No. No. Yeah.
Okay, so you know my pocket dimension?
Yeah.
Did I? Can I just look into there real quick for a minute?
I'm gonna say that you can take that action, right? You can take that action, but I am gonna give him a reflex to jump into that deal. You know what I'm saying? Like before you have a chance to shut that door, because you think about it, you got to turn, open it up, step in, and he's not just gonna sit there and watch you do that. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna give him a he could, but he's not gonna. I'm gonna give him a reflex to try and jump in there on you.
All right. Fine. I suppose I'm going to use my potion of Griffin or something.
Yeah, the
Summon Griffin, yeah.
Yeah. Are you sure?
I want to. It's not a pleasure.
Well, it's a 50-50 shot. You know? The Griffin might get there and decide it doesn't like you either.
Come on. Who doesn't like a Garricus though?
Well, so far, this hog. Actually, I think the hog. I think the hog does like you. I think the hog is just hungry. Did you know? You want to know something too? That the reason why this thing is being so aggressive towards you, I'm not doing that just to be a jerk. Did you know that in actual reality, hogs are used to snuff out truffles. They have an acute nose for truffles, which is just another type of mushroom, a type of fungus. They love them. They love to eat them. So I'm actually using like actual I'm using actual lore for this right now.
Well, and hogs are mean anyway.
Yeah, and they are. They're just mean in general. But I mean, most animals aren't, most hogs are pretty carnivorous, but but hogs are omnivorous, but they really do love truffles. They do love mushrooms. So I was like, boom, I'm going to use this. So you pull out a potion. Cuz I mean, you just took it. This thing is going to wreck you. I mean, like you're and so you pull out this potion and you pop it open and you're not even entirely sure what to do with it, but the second you open it, it starts shaking in your hand. You can feel the vibration in your hand as it's like popping a genie out of a bottle. This whole whiff of smoke, like this starry cloud, just comes wafting out of there. So much so, I mean, it's such a brilliant display that even the hog is kind of mesmerized by it as it wisps away off to the side of you guys. And you watch as a portal. At first, it starts small. It's the small little swirl, almost like watching a firecracker tear open the fabric of reality. And the swirl becomes bigger and eventually opens up into this portal where inside that portal, Agargus, you can see what doesn't look like a very pleasant place to be. For miles, you can see nothing but red desert, barren, underneath a blood-red sky of wind being sandblasted from one place to the next. I mean, it is an ugly thing. And then pretty soon you can see what looks like fireballs and magic missiles and things just being casted. And you can hear people yelling spells and something really crazy is going down. And it isn't long before you see what looks like creatures, monsters of a sort. Creatures that you have never seen before nor dealt with before in your entire life, but some of them have like horns and look real devilish, dare I say. And they're blasting at something, and then you can hear other people yelling and fighting back. And then you watch as a large celestial griffin comes flying out of this portal, and he's saying, come on now. And you watch as a celestial eagle comes flying out of this portal as well. He's oddly familiar looking, but you can't quite place where you've seen this eagle before. And the griffin is holding what looks like a bundle of something in its mouth as they both come flying out of this portal, and the portal closes behind them. And they're both just breathing heavily as the griffin lays the bundle down. He's like, did you call that portal? And the eagle's like, I didn't call that portal. I had nothing to do with that portal. And the griffin's like, because I know you have tricks. And he's like, I did not call that portal, sir. And then they both just turn slowly and look at you, Agargus, and look at the brush hog that still seems to be stunned. Just watching this. Like, the brush hog and you probably have the same look on your faces. You know? And the griffin looks at you, Agargus, and goes, what is that? And the eagle looks and goes, oh, I know who that is. Yeah. That one follows my master. And the griffin goes, what are the odds of that? And the eagle goes, pretty good. And then he looks at you and goes, Agargus, what? And the eagle looks at you and goes, Agargus, was it? That's your name, correct?
Why, yes.
He goes, oh, yeah, that's Agargus. And then he looks at the brush hog now and he goes, are you in some kind of trouble? Do we need to, where are you? And it's about at that moment that the brush hog goes, where and goes completely crazy and starts to try and charge them now. Uh, yeah. So you now have a celestial eagle and a celestial griffin helping you at this moment. Um, what do you want to do, Agargus? As the hog has now completely lost interest in you and is charging those two. Because all you did was an action. You didn't necessarily do an attack, so you still have an attack on you as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like, can I either stand nearby or like, can I ride the griffin with my trotters?
You can. The griffin's probably about 10 feet away. I'd say maybe more or less 30 feet away from you, actually. So you'd have to get over to the griffin. But I will you can I believe run. I don't think run is a feat. I think you can just do that. So I believe you can just say you run to the griffin, which will double your move speed. You know, you just won't be able to attack per se this round if you get to the griffin.
Right. Okay, I think that's what I'll do.
Okay, so I want everybody to picture this whole scenario. So out of a portal jumps a celestial griffin and a celestial eagle. The brush hog freaks out, decides to attack them now, and Agaragis just out of nowhere just goes running towards them too, and then runs and using its trotters hops onto the griffin's back with ease. Just, haha, here I am. To which the griffin goes, what are you doing?
The audacity of this mushroom creature.
Yeah. Who? And he looks to Solar, and Solar just shrugs and says, "Go with it, man. We got things we gotta kill this beast." And oh shoot, I just gave away his name, as if everybody didn't know.
Agaricus didn't.
It's man.
Huh? I,
I'm
I,
just being dumb. You
oh,
said, deal with this, man. We got to deal with this beast.
yeah.
Just roll with it, man. We got to deal with this beast. So I said, his name is Man.
His name is Man. Yeah.
But I was just being dumb.
No, I know. That's funny though. What's funny is Agaragis has traveled with Solar several times, and they're like, I didn't know who it was, and that wasn't Agaragis the character. That was Agaragis the player. That was Agaragis the player.
Yeah, no shit.
Alright.
10,000 lashings.
You got a fucking eagle, I guess. I don't know what its fucking name is.
It seems to know me. No wonder I was so quiet when it was asking me questions, because I was like, how do you know me? Because I do. Because I do. Yeah, so Solar whips back and Solar strikes it. I mean, he's just not even playing. He shoots up into the air, does a backflip, and turns into pure light and just wow blasts right through it. And the freaking brush hog just takes 20 points of damage. And its body is starting to kind of creak a little bit, but it's still on its feet. The griffin, let's see here. Yeah. Okay, so the Griffin looks over his shoulder at you, Agaragis, and he says, "Well, hold on," and he flies straight up in the air. I mean, really fast. Like, actually, roll a ride.
Oh, no. Oh, fuck. Agarica's about to eat it, boys.
You believe in magic in a mushroom's heart.
I like the fact
No,
that you.
hell no. Boy.
I like the fact that you actually sang like an entire like little a little ditty for that. You know what I mean? Because that yeah. I don't know why I think that's funny. I just think it's funny that you're like singing that like there's hope. However, there's not. You you look like that vine of that little girl who accidentally falls off the back of the swing and then they turn it into the Wii bowling. You know, you just strike. I mean, you just yeah.
I love that one.
You just roll right off the back of that Griffin, just as he flies up, and he's like, "Oh, oops!" Huh. He kind of laughs and then comes down with a dive strike, just pow, doing. Oop. 23 points of damage. I mean, he just hits that freaking that deal, and he's going to try and overrun it as well. And because he's actually smacking it while he does it, it's not gonna try and get out of the way. It would try for an opposing strengths.
The hog outpowers the griffin. Plot twist.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise. Well, I mean, you know, technically this hog isn't exactly weak per se. Like they're actually pretty freaking buff, if I'm being honest with you. He just kind of got lucky. Agaragis kind of got lucky with it that last time because he rolled so freaking trash. It was unbelievable. Oh. Yeah, see, yeah, nah. He hits that griffin, or that griffin tries to bull rush him or overrun him with that pounce, and even though he hits him really good, that brush hog, he's like no, and freaking pushes back on them, just looking completely like, what the crap is going on, you know? And he goes to try and gore Agaragis. No. He's just gonna try and freaking smack the griffin. Miss. Miss. Okay, so he's like trying to gore him, and the griffin's fighting back, and now it is your turn, Agaragis. So you're currently like laying on your back prone. Just laying there.
Is someone gonna come back for me?
Well, you're just on the ground, yeah. I mean, you're not away from the fight. You're probably now about 10, you're about 15 feet away from the fight in of itself now. You didn't like fall from a high distance. It's from the moment he leapt up into the air and started shooting straight up. You just, whoa, you know, like you probably fell like a total of like maybe 5 feet. at the most. Nothing that's gonna kill you. It just it just took you by surprise because it completely rolled you backwards.
So, but is the griffin gonna come back for me?
That I'm gonna be honest with you right now. That griffin, you get the sense that that griffin doesn't care about you.
Oh.
It's only helping you because the eagle said to help you. Because the eagle seems to know you. If
Will
I'm
the
being
eagle come get me?
right now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even think the eagle. I think the eagle is pretty suspicious of you. Has been pretty suspicious of you since you first joined the group. But to be fair, it's nothing personal. Ask anybody. You could later on when you want to do some table talk, you can ask both Android and you Quill. That eagle is suspicious of everybody when he first meets them. He's
just a read.
He's extremely judgmental, yes.
He absolutely is, and for good reason.
Yeah, but once he likes you, once he decides that you're okay, he becomes loyal. He becomes very loyal to you.
Well, why ain't he loyal to me yet?
Because you don't even remember his
help.
name.
It was Solar.
So you'd have to,
Right.
yeah, you'll have to take a move action to stand up, or alternatively, you can try and roll a tumble to see if you can't tumble to your feet, and I'll count that as a skill, and you won't have to use an action to get up.
Okay, can you hear me out though, real quick?
Yeah, I'll listen. Yeah.
Okay, I know I probably can't do this, and I don't think I have another potion too, anyways. But could I just resummon them?
Can you do what?
Could I just resummon the griffin?
No, you already used that potion. The griffin ain't going nowhere. You summoned him. He'll the way that works is he'll desummon himself once he's served his purpose. Luckily, it's a celestial being, so it's intelligent, so it's not gonna exactly it's not going to stick around and completely cause havoc. That's why when we were making the potions, I was like, don't summon something without intelligence and don't summon something fiendish. Because something without intelligence won't know how to desummon itself, and something fiendish won't only attack what it is you want it to attack, it will attack you. And it probably won't desummon itself either. It'll probably stick around and be like, I'm going to catch this place on fire. You know? So, yeah, no, you can't. I don't know why you'd want to desummon the griffin, but
Like re-summon him to like call him back to me so he can come pick me up.
oh, you mean like a Pokeball? No. That's a cool idea, but no, actually that is a cool idea. We could take something like that and run with it later on if you'd like, but for now, no.
Okay. I just mean more of like call him back to me, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
How I was trying to.
Okay, so you call him back to you. What do you say to him?
Hope.
So you're like, help. Yeah. In response to that, actually, the griffin doesn't answer you. Solar does. He looks over at you and goes, we are helping. That's what we're doing.
So are they back near me?
He looks at you and goes, pardon? Says, you want me to come pick you up?
Yeah.
He just, like, the griffin and the hog are the ones in like melee combat right now. Solar's not, but he like looks at the fight going on and then looks at you and he almost looks dumbfounded. He's like, oh. And he thinks, you can see that he's like contemplating something in his mind. He's like, hold on. And he flies over near you and then like gets down on the ground, and you watch as a blinding light covers his body, and in that light you watch as his shape grows to huge status, and he becomes this huge celestial eagle, and he reaches over, grabs you by your mushroom top, picks you up to where you're just dangling, and then sets you on your feet. He says, there you go. He goes, no, thank you or anything, huh? Okay.
So he just picks up and goes around him and climbs on top of him.
He's like, I don't. He's like you hear him kind of mutter under his breath, I don't know if this is gonna work out. Yeah, I am digging it. By the way, I am totally digging this. So he walks over to he just walks over to the freaking brush hog and goes to freaking smack him with a giant talon. Yeah, that hits.
It better.
Okay. For 14 points of damage. Come on, boys. He, just completely smashes that thing into the ground, and it gets back up like, and is still fighting the griffin, who himself looks kind of like perplexed too, like, oh my gosh, this thing is as sturdy as it possibly can be. So he's gonna go for a pounce and try and pounce him. Okay, he hits. Doing. Oh my gosh. Do it again. Do it again. Oh, it's me. It's not you. It's me. I'm just trying to roll this damage and I keep inputting the wrong thing. Alright. Finally. Yeah, so he pounces that thing when Solar gets him distracted. He just pounces right on it and hits it and shoves it, and it goes rolling, and as it's rolling, its insides just start floating out of its body, just leaving a just rolling, just leaving a trail of insides, like what do you call it? Its guts, its intestines, its caca, all of that. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So yeah, he popped it like a pimple basically. And it just lays there completely dead. And the griffin's like, well, that was eventful. And Solar says, sure does beat fighting devils in the 9 hells, though. And then Solar looks over his shoulder at you, Agargus, and goes, where is Android? And that's where we're going to pick up with Android and Zoltan. Don't you go nowhere, Agargus. You Quill, it'll be a minute before we get to you, so stay frosty, okay?
No, you're good.
Okay.
I woke up like 3 hours ago, bro. I'm just now getting to where I'm conscious.
Cool, man, cool. All right, so Zoltan, it isn't long before you hear a knocking at your bedroom door, and the rice paper door slides open a little bit with and you can tell it's Loud E, but he doesn't poke his head inside or anything, giving you guys you and Chumi's privacy, and he goes, Zoltan, are you awake?
Yes.
He says, good, and he slides the door open with a slam, and with him are a bunch of Bunzai warriors, and he's like, there's the treacherous slut, grab her. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice.
No.
Scratch that worthy. I call in a meteor.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's how you want to play it. That's how you want to. Okay. Okay, then. No, no, what was I saying? Oh, no. So he says, okay, well, the Bunzai are here to escort Chumi back to their where they're staying. They'll be right outside the door whenever you're ready.
Alrighty. Hooray.
And then he slides the door shut. And Android, you've been in your room. What is Android doing at this moment now, beyond the thoughts he was having and everything?
This moment he would be sleeping still, I would assume.
So he's actually sleeping and not meditating this time?
Yeah, that's how that ended out, is he actually went to sleep.
Nice. So, you hear a knock at the door. And you hear a familiar voice of the great hair say, Android? Are you awake?
Android kind of groggily rises, and puts his hat back on, and he answers the door himself. And he says, yes, I presume you're here to pick up, is it Chumi?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chumi.
He slides the door open just a hair and says, "May I come in?"
Just a hair.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. That was completely by accident.
I know.
But I'm glad it
Android
happened.
Yeah, that was a good one. Android just kind of takes a few steps back and, motions his hand for him to come in. And
he can't see that. He hasn't actually walked in. He's like, well, okay, if there's any kind of light in there, he can see your shadow kind of. Yeah.
Oh, well, I like I said, Android kind of opened the door. I thought, you would be able to.
Oh, okay. I guess I missed
Yeah,
that.
like he slid the rice paper door open to greet him. I was like,
okay.
yeah, I'm awake. I presume you're here to meet Chumi. He kind of just motions for him to step in.
He steps in and he still looks pretty bashful, and he's not even like looking you in the eyes. He's like, I know that you feel betrayed because even though you and I have known each other only for a short time, I feel that you and I have have a certain level of respect that can only come from two people who recognize one another. And then he
Let him
says
recognize.
he says that, and then he lets a long moment of silence, hang in the air before looking you in the eyes. And then he kisses you on the mouth. No,
Nice.
he. I'm sorry.
He's
But no,
getting ready to give me that great hair.
yeah. He's, what up, Doc? No,
No.
Nice.
It's Meat Canyon. He's like,
Ain't I a stinker?
yeah, it's Meat Canyon. He's like, oh.
Good
No,
steak.
yeah, no, but he sits there, but he does let that moment hang in the air, and he goes, you are a good man, android, and I recognize that about you. And I think you saw what you saw in me. And he goes, but I want you to understand something. I have to lead an entire tribe of people. We are just that, a tribe. And in these lands, the thing you have to understand about us is the fact that unless you have the application of force, you are just that. You are just a tribe. And we may never be a shogunate, but we still have to protect what's ours. And what I did was stupid and treacherous. Which sometimes in these lands is congratulated, especially if you can get away with it. But you have helped me to see that I am better than that, and I have dishonored you with my treachery. And when he says that, he looks you now in the face and he bows very low, like so low that his ears actually touch the ground, and lay there. You know what I'm saying? They
Right.
they flop over his head and
Flop
lay on
over,
and
yeah.
lay on the ground, like tails on a coat. And then he stands up and he says, "If there is anything you require, I am in your debt. This looking out for this your friend's fiance, his betrothed, dare I say property, is that will not suffice. Should you need me in the Bunzai, we will be there. While you are in these lands, you will always have our protection." I now present to you a life debt. And when he does that, he pulls out a small knife and cuts his hand and bleeds it out on the ground, putting the knife back. And he says,
Yeah, but can I bleed him yet?
he says, the last drop will be yours.
Android kind of, at this, up to this point, I'd like to say that Android's expression has kind of been sort of grave. You know what I mean? He's giving him a graven expression, and when he bleeds himself out on the ground, and this one kind of, almost takes him aback a little bit, like at this one it makes him almost a little nervous because it's kind of like, oh man, this dude has indebted himself to me in such a way, and because there's still that part of Android that's like, man, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a kid in a kid in his dad's suit sort of thing. And he's like, but he kind of straightens himself up, and he's getting ready to say something, but he doesn't. Like he thinks better of it, and he straightens up, and folds his arms behind his back, and bows deeply to, the great hair. But when he does so, this time he uh, makes a point to keep his eyes on him as he bows. He bows and he bows very deeply, but he keeps his eyes on him as he does so. I'd like to think up to this point when Android bows, he kind of, looks at the ground, but this time he does so very intentionally, almost as a show of being like, well, I got my eyes on you, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, when he rises, he just says, I understand the position of you and your people. And from here forward, so long as nothing comes of it, then we can treat it as though it has never happened.
The great hair, when you do that and you keep your eyes on him and everything, he somewhat catches your intent, and you watch him kind of slightly flinch at this. But when you say your words, he smiles and he says, I'm also under the understanding that you have made a bargain with Kodokai about the girl, and that he put a mark on you, a death mark to be exact. He goes, that if you don't live up to your obligation, that's going to take your arm. In these lands,
Yes, sir.
In these lands, that's a sign showing everybody you are not to be trusted. It will forever tattoo, when it takes your arm, it will forever tattoo your chest with the mark of a liar. He says, unfortunately, there's not a lot of time to be had on that. Unless you have a way of getting a hold of the people in your land, I would be honored to find a way to send message. If there is a if you trust me enough to tell me where I would go to do so.
Where you would send message?
Yes, I will send a messenger. Yes.
Andrew kind of thinks for a moment and sighs, and he says, because the time limit is 1 month, is that right?
He says yes, and not 1 month from when you got the mark. Kodokai should have explained that to you. Not 1 month from when you got the mark. Exactly.
So till the end of this month.
Till the end of this cycle, yes. And I'd say you've probably got a few days, perhaps.
A few days. Andrew just kind of sighs.
He points at the moon and he's like, I mean, look at it. It's already almost a thumbnail.
Andrew just kind of, He thinks on this for a moment, so he's like, so he didn't tell me this on purpose because he's trying to test my efficiency. Is that what I'm to understand? He knows perfectly well that this is the case.
It's a win-win for him. If you prove to be efficient, then he's got a business. If you fail, he's gonna take Chew-Me back.
Andrew kind of thinks on this for a minute. He's like, well, how quickly can you get messengers to Siren?
He's like, I'd have to look at a map to see exactly where, but we are swift. We are fleet of foot. He goes, we may have to travel the underworld. Going by sea would take a few months just in of itself. We would have to travel the underworld to do it, but
underworld is how we got here, so
I suppose we could get our hands. He goes, we have ways. I could do it. I could do it in no time. One way or another, I would get it done. Or I will give you, and he shows you the bloody hand again, that final drop. So it is not just your life that is at stake now, either.
Hendrik kind of, you know, draws in a breath, trying to, again, steel himself, I guess, in the sense, not try to show that how much this is stressing him out, but he's like, well, all right, I am going to entrust you with this task as, a proof, a show of loyalty, I suppose you could say. He says, I believe all Koto Kai requires of me is to put my people in touch with his people. And they'll hash out, the details of our arrangements. So, yeah. Andric kind of explains to him where it is that he needs to go and who it is, where to go to get in touch with Sebastian. And he's like, so the rest is up to you. I believe it, yeah, I believe it shouldn't have many problems, I wouldn't think, unless you just have trouble getting into the countries or whatever.
He says, oh, don't you worry about that. He says, as he's marking everything down on a map, all like, and you notice that he is a very exquisite note taker. Like, just based upon your descriptions and everything, he's got this, he's basically got it marked almost precisely on the map where he needs to go.
Yeah.
And he rolls it up, and then he calls one of the Bunzai in, and he goes, fetch one of the fastest hawk foxes we have.
Just, do what you can to look for Frizen Manor and White Sword, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, White Sword.
Frizen Manor and White Sword. And he begins writing down a note to everything. And he says, there, give that to the swiftest hawk fox we have. The Bunzai just bows and goes, yes, right here. And he leaves. He says, it is done. And when all that preliminary stuff is taken care of and everything, Zoltan and Android, you find, unless there was anything else, Zoltan and Android, you guys now find yourselves standing there with Lao D outside of the palace. Chumi gives you guys one final wave goodbye as she's escorted away with the Bunzai and with the gray hair leading their little trope, as it were. You see that what Lao D has acquired isn't the typical rickshaw that you guys have been using, where the dragoon are pulling it. You see a rickshaw that is hooked, like bridled, to what looks like a dragon, only it's slightly smaller. It's large in size, and it's got feet but no arms, just wings with talons at the tips of them, and it's tame, but it's got like a wild animal's glint in its eyes, And Lao Di says, I figured it was easier renting a Shenlong than actually trying to find any dragoon willing to cart us around this time of night. He goes,
go ahead.
He says, well, it will be a faster trip this way. They are way swifter at flying than a couple of dragoon trying to carry our weight. He goes, unburdened, a dragoon is way more agile than a Shenlong. Yeah, hands down. But that, and he's saying the word Shenlong, but because you guys are still capable of speaking their language because of the spell Mazaru used on you, it's translating slightly into a word called wyvern. And he's saying, and he says, that'll get us over there to that farm quickly, so we can see what happened to Agaragis. And should we need to fight, well, that Shenlong right there is tame right now. But I'm pretty sure we could change its demeanor towards whoever we need to, should we have to. Sound good?
Android's like, so this Shenlong, as you call it, this and he says, pardon my insensitivity, perhaps, but this one doesn't speak. This one isn't how you say sentient. This one is bestial.
Oh yes. Yes. He looks over at it and kind of pets it on the neck and he goes, they're stupid. He goes, they're not like us, the dragoon, and he says that almost really prideful. He goes, they're not like us, no. They not like us.
Android kind of snorts, and he's like, no. Again, pardon my insensitivity, but you acknowledge the resemblance?
He cocks an eyebrow and he goes, it's getting late.
Well, he's like, I mean, not like personally. I mean, just like how you say, I guess a human would recognize a resemblance between themselves and, apes.
He goes, he goes, you talking about the how? You think you look like one of the how? And he just kind of
he's like, I guess, I don't know what how means, but perhaps. He's like, me personally, I'd be only half, but I'm half pure elegance. He just kind of, flourishes his coat.
Someone laughs at that.
Loudie just kind of coughs. It's getting late. We should find Agaragis. And then he gets up into the rickshaw. And you all begin flying. It is a
Android,
much...
Hold on, Android turns to Zoltan and he's like, kind of leans in and whispers, and he's like, I guess he didn't like that one.
You guys, it is a much shorter trip. Like the Shenlong is extremely swift. You know what I mean? Like these things are like a pack horse. They just he gets you guys there in no time. And as you guys you can see about a mile off, you can see the farm approaching. But down below, you can hear like what sounds like a bunch of fighting or something. And it's just right below you guys down into the forest. You can hear something going on. And as you look, because Android and Zoltan are both half elven, and whatever, I'm gonna just say that your keen eyes allow you to see you guys can see down through the trees. You see what looks like Agaragis and two large birds just sitting down there, looking over something. And Loudie looks over at you guys and he's like, what do your keen elven eyes see? No, but
nice.
Yeah, but he looks over at you guys and he goes, what is it?
Looks like the mushroom and a couple of birds. No, the mushroom and a couple of women are standing down there. Oh no, them some birds.
Them some birds. Last night and the night before.
No. Sorry. No, Agaragis and some birds are down there looking at something.
Now you could see the celestial light coming off of them, and as you get a little closer, you know what I mean? Like once your eyes focus,
Right.
you can distinctly see the celestial light. Definitely coming, especially coming off the giant bird that Agaragis is sitting on.
Celestials, I reckon.
And Lao D goes, Celestials. And he's like, he's motioning for the wyvern to go down towards the forest. He's like, Celestials. I'm not familiar with this name.
Android kind of thinks on it for a second, and he's like, not divine beings. They're not deific, but they are of divinity. Are you familiar with Mount Celestia in these parts? And furthermore, have I told you the good news of Coralon the Rethian? He kind of like thinks for a moment, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I guess I have. I've told you my entire spiel."
He goes, yes,
And he's
yes,
like, "Well,
I'm familiar. So you're saying that these are holy beings.
holy beings. Yeah, that's a good word for it. Sorry,
So-
that word was escaping me for some reason."
Like, no problem. He goes, I mean, my rhetoric is pretty elegant in of itself. And just smiles at you. He says,
Yeah, well,
the
I'm
half of
half
you
gimp.
the half of you that isn't elegant must have lost that word. And he like motions for
Absolutely.
Something isn't
I've been
again
muddied.
laughing at all this.
So as even Laudi's kind of laughing now too. He's like smiling at you, Android. Agaragis, you're just chilling down there now as Solar and the Griffin are sitting there talking, and you watch as this rickshaw being pulled by a Shenlong comes swooping down into the forest, carrying both Android, Zoltan, and Lao D. They just causing both Solar and the Griffin to kind of jump back, like ready to attack. Solar jumps back so abruptly that I'm going to need you to roll another ride. Yeah. Oh, yes. That makes me so happy. So, but why? So he jumps back abruptly, sending you just off the side of him, just and Solar just kind of he glances over in your
I love
direction.
that you did the Super Mario. Like,
Yeah.
since Agaricus is a mushroom, it only makes
Yeah.
sense that she would walk.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so freaking Solar like looks over in the direction you went flying off to the side at, and he goes, what is it? And he stops for a minute as you guys come parking, and then he looks out past the Shenlong and he sees you, Android, and he's like, Android?
Android's like, Solar, as I live and breathe. How did you get here?
He goes, and he kind of pats the Griffin and he goes, it's okay. It's friends. And the Griffin looks and goes, I know. I know this guy. And he points, and Android, you get to looking at the Griffin too, and you realize, hey, I know that Griffin. Do you remember his name?
No, I don't. I don't even remember who it was that summoned him, but I do remember the Griffin being summoned.
Yeah. So I'll let you roll a Bardic Knowledge to see if you can pull that back out of your memory bank.
I do not recall his name, but I know who it was who had it.
Damn.
Ooh. Why is Agaragis rolling that? Oh no, I guess Agaragis didn't.
Oh,
roll
that was my fault. I was just rolling it on that window.
Oh. But you put in all the right stuff. You don't actually, oddly enough, you kind of don't really remember.
Fair
you're,
enough.
you're like, oh, I know that guy. I do know that guy. And he's like, he's looking at you, Android, kind of like trying to recall who that
Can
is.
I remember who at least summoned him and the situation?
Sure, you could try that.
I'll roll another one, I guess.
Yeah, you will. It's completely two different sets of knowledge.
Fair enough.
Okay, now that one right there, you're like, you think back and you're like, I can't remember his name, but then you remember, oh yeah, that was the Griffin that used to hang out with Otis. That was Otis's buddy. And the Griffin's looking at you, try to like recollect all this stuff, and he goes,
Oh, yeah.
you don't remember me, do you?
Android's like, well, I don't remember your name. I'm sorry. I remember you were friends with Otis, though.
Solar like shrinks back to his like small healer state, celestial eagle form. You watch as the light gets bright, and you just watch him shrink, and then there he is, just hovering now with his wings, and he comes flying over to you, makes a wide berth around the Shen Lung, and then comes and sits on your shoulder, and he goes, "You will not believe the day I had." As the Griffin walks over,
You either.
the Griffin like prances over. Agaragis is just laying there over on their back, just still mortified that this is like the third time they've fallen off of a mount. But the Griffin prances over, and Solar's like, so I know there's a lot that you're aware of now, Android, and you and I need to have a conversation. The short and skinny of it right now is that Coralon, I work directly for Coralon Lorethian. Now, how that works, I'll explain to you later. But Coralon, as a favor to an old friend, which is a perplexing statement to say now, but as a favor to an old friend, sent me with Cassius over there to retrieve something. And you watch as Solar is telling this story, Cassius kind of prances over to this bundle and picks it up. You know, the bundle looks like it's wrapped up, but it looks like it could carry like a small child or something. And he brings it over and sets it down and begins unwrapping it.
A little stork sack.
Yeah. And as he unwraps it, you see the lifeless body of Otis Herokin laying in there. And you remember that Obad High had told your group that Otis's body, his husk, had been taken to the Nine Hells, but Obad High had managed to save his soul. And that he needed the body to be able to put them both back together. And he goes, so I assisted Cassius in what was almost a suicide mission, and he motions over to Agaragis and says, "Thank you for the portal, by the way." And he says, and
He just bows.
he says, "But we were successful." And now, and you watch as Cassius touches the chest of Otis Herokin, and you watch as a bright light shines over the body, and nothing happens. And
Nice.
Then suddenly,
Anticlimactic.
you watch as Otis's body comes to life. And Cassius looks at Otis and says, "You're here. Finally."
Where am I?
And Cassius takes a few steps back and bows, letting his wings fold down to the ground like a cape, and he says, "I don't know. I have no idea. But I am so sorry that I failed you, my lord. I almost failed my quest in protecting you. But you're here now. And I promise nothing like that will ever happen again.
Gotta hope not. That was terrible.
Android?
Mm. Android's kind of standing there a little dumbfounded at first. And he's like, well, I reckon y'all aren't paying Shun. He
It was
just kind of looks between the three of them and he's like, well, Otis, good to have you back. He kind of clears his throat and he looks to, Solar. He doesn't quite know what to say, he just kind of like starts to say something and stops and starts to say something.
As you do, Solar.
Stops and he's just like, just thank you.
Solar just kind of nods to you and to Android and says, it'll sound extremely cliche, but faith can be rewarded, Android.
Hit it with a nut. Hit it with a nut.
Android just kind of, he doesn't say anything. He just nods, and he he nods and then he bows. He shows them the new trick he's picked up. He just nods and bows,
Solar watches and looks real like impressed by this. Now we're gonna rewind just a split a hair. It would have been a hair for y'all, but for Otis, however, before your body sprang back to life, you found yourself in a grove with beautiful trees. We're talking like thick redwoods and willows and asps, and the colors are all bright. It feels like you're inside one of those surrealistic oil paintings. The greens are more green, the brown is more brown, the flowers are more purple and yellow and red, and everything, butterflies of colors that you can't even describe. Animals make noises, and the noises they make don't sound like regular forest chatter. It almost sounds like they're making harmony. And there, with you, you see Obad High. He lets you take in this surrealistic vision before he makes his presence known. And he's sitting there smiling at you. And eventually you stop and you realize he's there with you, and he's just smiling, and he says, "Welcome back, my son." He goes, "We lost you for a while there." He said, "That is my fault." Obad High, as you remember him, looks like a being made out of pure nature. His hair is grassy, his beard is grassy, his skin looks like a mixture of bark and grass and leaves and everything else, all and he's like a tint green, as if he what is that process called when the sun feeds plants? What is that called?
Photosynthesis.
Yeah, chlorine. Not chlorine, but what is that?
Chlorophyll.
Chlorophyll.
Yes,
I'm like,
chlorine.
I'm like, chlorine. Yes. He's like sipping on straight chlorine, this dude is. Yeah. Like his skin is tinted green as if his blood is chlorophyll, like he's, and he's just smiling at you with those bright green eyes. And he's like, "I abandoned you, my son. I took away your gifts because I was angry at you, because you did not carry out a mission that I gave you when it came to Mind Dock. And I'm sorry. I let my pride get the better of me, and there are things that are happening now in the world that we need you. And I almost lost you." And he returns your holy symbol back to you, the one made out of wood that you chiseled that. And he says that will carry me with you till the end of the days. He says, because where you're going, I cannot follow. Not anymore. But I want you to know, as long as you hold that right there next to your heart, there I shall always be. He goes, you're going to be confused for a little while, but you'll get it all back eventually. And he says, I love you. And when he says that, you watch as it looks as if his skin is drains of all the chlorophyll and he becomes a grayish color. And you watch as he begins to rot and look like he dies, like you would watch a plant die in real time. First he's all healthy and alive, and then he just slowly turns brown and withers away till he looks like nothing but a dead weed. And then you're back with Android and all of them, with Cassius standing before you. And that brings us now back to the present, where we are. So, Otis, your gifts are no longer withheld from you. You can now perform all the clerical abilities that you had once before, without the limitations.
All right.
So, yeah. What do you guys do now?
Android kind of scratches his head and he's like, I don't quite know what to say. Otis, it's good to have you back, buddy. He just kind of pats you on the head, I guess.
How long was I gone? Jeez.
What'd you say? Sorry.
How long was I gone?
Android kind of, raises his eyebrows and closes his eyes, and he's like, that's kind of a muddy question. He's like, for us, not, well, I guess it's been a while, but for the rest of the world, we were gone for, I believe, 5 years. We just kind of blinked out of existence.
Now, Android, he came back with you when that happened.
Right. Oh, did he?
Yeah, he was
That's
with
right.
you guys up until you were going after Emma that first time.
Oh, that's when he dipped out, huh?
Yeah, you guys watched as the
Oh,
like a portal
that's
to the nine
right.
hells
I
swallowed
remember
him up.
that. I do remember that because we were like, no, what is this that's happening?
Mhm.
Yeah. Android's like, well, it's been a while, but not just disgustingly long. It's like we've been on a couple of adventures that have led us to other continents.
And as you're
Question
saying all
mark?
this, Android, you get a slight chill up your spine because you're reminded that even though it's only been maybe like 2 seasons really since Otis has been gone and a lot has happened, you're reminded of how time works where he was. And that even though it was only 2 seasons for you, for his body, he was there for probably over 1,000
A long
or so
time.
years, yeah. And
Yes, a long time.
You feel the cold again.
Intimately aware.
So much so that you want to check your shadow. You go to check your shadow because you're just starting to have a slight panic attack. But
Fair enough.
those words return to your head. Lo, I am with you to the end of your days. And you realize, even though there are things in the dark that go bump in the night, you, as long as you have, your faith in Coralon and this party, as you so put it, you can bump back, and you decide not to check your shadow, and you are now free of that tick.
Look at this guy go.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of milestones are about to happen, y'all.
So I guess instead Android just kind of taps his feet a little bit and he's like, Otis, just to be honest with you, I don't know how to answer that question. But even though it was not very long for me perceivably, it was unspeakably long also perceivably. So kind of hard for me to answer that question for you, man. How long was it for you?
Hell if I know, I was asleep.
Android kind of, wipes his face, just, like slaps his forehead and just wipes down and is like, I am really glad. He just kind of, actually sighs and you kind of see this relief wash over him and he's like, I'm really glad.
You hear Solar kind of mumble to Android, kind of like Android. You kind of hear him mumble, not out loud, but he's sitting on your shoulder, so you catch it. He's like, "There's two of them now."
He's just kind of like, that's a good thing, Otis. That's a good thing.
I'll take your word for it. So what are we doing?
Loud, he goes.
Android kind of looks loud to you. He's like, what are we doing? That's a good question. I've lost the plot now.
He looks over at Agaragis and goes, "What did you find out?" And he looks over at Otis and kind of looks him up and down, and then looks at the Griffin, and then looks at Solar, and he's just completely perplexed by the whole situation. But you could tell he just fights to keep that from his, push that back, because you could see he's fighting, wanting to ask a million questions. But instead,
Right.
he decides to just stand on business. So he looks over at Agaragis and he goes, "What did you learn at the farm, exactly?"
Oh, Android's like, right. We left Agaricus to spy.
And Otis, it's about this time that you're now realizing that there's like a humanoid mushroom that is about as tall as you are, that looks a lot like it. You can't tell anything really about this. Like, it neither looks male nor female. It has no eyes, but a mouth, but it's got a mouth on it. It is somewhat of an eldritch nightmare, but there is something disarming about it as well.
Yeah, Otis is gonna look at it and look at everyone else like, what's with the walking fungus? Are we in battle?
Android's like, no. Android's like, I've been asking myself that question since it showed up. He's like, it helps. It helps out.
Okay, I mean, I guess if I'm sort of used to it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly entirely what its deal is. I've just kind of grown acclimated to it.
And for all
It's
for all intents and purposes, Otis, it looks like it could be male, but then it speaks when Laudi asks it, "What did you learn at the farm?" And
What do you say?
he said, "What did you learn at the farm exactly, Agaragis?"
Oh.
Agaricus just sticks his thumb out, like a thumb up.
Oh my god, it speaks.
Yeah.
Android's like, well, there you have it. I knew it was a shot in the dark.
Yeah, so it looks male, has that voice, and really has no distinguishing markers for it whatsoever. And you realize that it is an eldritch nightmare. It looks just like this thing, like it is what it is, and it just gives a thumbs up, and Laudi goes, "What does that mean, a thumbs up, Agaragis? What is that? What does that mean exactly? A thumbs up? I don't understand."
He just sticks his other thumb up.
He goes, "Are they working with the Woojin or yeah? Are they working with the Woojin or not?"
He just keeps them up and stares blankly.
He's like, "I
He
can't."
says, oh.
What? What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, he says that he's like came upon okay, hold on. Real quick. Let me make sure that I'm not getting this mistaken with another thing that has happened. But what I'm supposed to be discussing is what I went into that pocket dimension for, right? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Everything that happened there, and like I was trying to steal the stuff off the ground and everything.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
trying to spy
You
on
were-
them. Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to spy. You got noticed,
Yeah,
and you had to fall back into your pocket dimension.
yeah. Okay, all right. So, Agaricus is like, well, I heard some stuff.
When you say that, Laudi just looks surprised. He's like, "Oh, okay. You heard? Okay, okay. So you're kind of remembering. Okay, cool." He's like trying to cultivate you to focus. He's like, good job, Agaricus. What did you hear?"
And he looks at him.
he's like, I can't tell if I can't tell if Agaricus is looking at me or not. I don't know. I don't know. Are you? He goes, what did you hear exactly?
I did overhear them something with the weekend, and how they're all in with one another. And no one can be trusted.
He says, you heard them talk. You heard them say the words Woojin specifically.
Wait.
Yeah.
I do believe so. Is there a way I can roll an intelligence? To,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
remember?
I'll let you roll an intelligence to see if you can remember more accurately what you learned. It's been a while since we played, so I'll probably have to just give you a rundown, but that's okay. I've put you in quite a predicament right now. Ugh. Oh, wow. A 13 for an intelligence check with a, oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
No mod.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, no modifier, nothing. I'll give you that, because usually people don't get that high on just a straight ability score roll. So you kind of think back to it and you remember, well, they didn't say Woojin specifically. You remember seeing a dragoon with the greenish shadowy scales and a fine suit. The one who bumped into Android. And you think about that for a minute, like, that's the one that bumped into Android, actually, and told him to watch where he's going. You watched him come over to there, start yelling at them, saying, well, great. Now if they know about our bootleg operation, we're going to be in trouble, and yada, yada, yada. The Empire's going to come down on top of our heads. He's like, unless, and then they said some other things, and then you heard the name Kodo Kai get mentioned, and they walked off. But you never heard them actually say anything about a Woojin or anything like that.
I see. Okay.
So, yeah, you relay this information to Laudi.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Let's do a little exercise here. Everything I just told you, try telling him in your own words.
I'm so bad at that.
I know
I can write it down.
but don't worry about it, because Agargus, don't worry about it, because I'll make a man out of you. No. Yeah, try and tell them in your own words, because I feel like that. Even though you're bad at that, I feel like it'll be just right on. It'll be Agargus. No matter how you're gonna do it, it's gonna be Agargus. It'll be perfect.
Okay. So I saw this dude with like green scales, and he was doing some stuff and talking to this other guy, and then they saw me. I was trying to take some stuff and I couldn't get it off the floor. It was like changing the floor or something. I thought it would be good to bring back to you guys. But I couldn't lift it up off the floor. So anyways, I got spotted and fell through this wall, this thinly made wall. I don't know who would make a wall like that, but I think it was a wall.
Did they say anything actually about a Woojin? You heard those words specifically?
No, but I did see a dragoon. There was that.
What?
It was there.
What did they say?
You know.
Well, we can't go on a hunch. We could kick open their doors, but if they're not actually in league with the Woojin, I don't think that's gonna work. I have to have concrete evidence. What's funny about this is Agargus just told him the story about how they snuck into Kara Shin's place and not the farm.
Yeah, I know.
Told a completely different instance. Did not give him accurate information at all. And what's funny about that is when they did spy on Kara Shin, they did see the Woojin then. Oh my gosh, Agargus. You just hear Solar mumble again. There's two of them.
Oh, and something about Kodokai. Speaking with him, I heard that, I believe.
He gives you a sharp look and goes, Kodokai. He goes,
Yuko, wherever he's at, is rubbing his ears like, awkward.
There's something wrong going on. There's somebody who's butchering an explanation worse than you right now.
Ears is burning.
Ears are burning.
Yeah. But yeah, when you say the name Kodokai, Lao D looks at Agargus real sharply now and then looks at you, Android, and goes, that's the one who gave you the mark. That's the one you're going into business with. He says, maybe we ought to go and talk to Kodokai. He goes, we don't have to accuse him of anything. We just have to mention the farm and see what happens. Everybody in agreement with doing that?
Agaricus interrupts and says, oh yeah, there was a farm.
Yes.
Android looks dumbfounded for about the 12th time this session. Oh Lord.
Otis just sitting there with that severely confused look.
Yeah.
Do what?
Otis does what?
Otis just been sitting there this whole time with this severely confused look on his face, like, I have no idea what's going on. Can we just do something.
Yeah. You know it's getting bad when even Otis is confused. like
Right.
you know, like Jesus. Even I even I don't go off the rails this badly.
Mhm.
That's funny. Speaking of which, Lao D says, well, it is late. Kodokai will be in bed. He won't hold an audience tonight. We might as well go and all get some rest. And he looks at you, Otis, and he says, Otis, was it?
Yeah.
He says, I am Lao D. I am a detective for the Dragoon Shogunate. Says,
Okay, I'm gonna pretend what I know what that is.
he says, he kind of looks kind of flabbergasted by that response, like, what?
I told you, we're all like this.
He's like, well, to give you a you are on the continent of Pangshun. You are currently in the lands of the Dragoon right now. This is the Dragoon Shogunate, as it were. In our language, it would be pronounced Longji Judo, but I believe roughly in your tongue, it translates to the Dragoon below. Your companions showed up and have been assisting me in investigating an assassination plot against a shaman, the high shaman of our shogunate, Mazaru. We're going to try and prevent it. There's a little bit more to it than that, but you are here for a festival, the Jingzhu, and right now would be the worst time for an assassination to happen. Let me put it to you like that. Here, and he thinks about it, and he's like, well, I don't have one on me, but I'll give you some information that you can look over, and it'll explain the Jingzhu and everything to you that you can read at your leisure if you'd like to know a little bit more about us and our culture. But I'm just completely dumbfounded by your presence here. I'm not even gonna lie. It's not every day I see somebody come back to life from the dead. So,
Oh, believe me, that's normal. I'm dumbfounded by everything every day.
Cassius is like, I'm dumbfounded by all the trouble you guys can get into when we're gone.
Oh, just say it's gonna get worse.
He goes, Lao D says, all right, well, then, Android, with your permission, shall we head back to the Forgotten City then?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Says, all right, we can all head back there and get some rest. Otis, when we get back, I will speak with somebody about getting you and your friend here a room. He goes, we might have to do some explaining about his presence because he's gonna freak a lot of people out. And he says that unironically because the Shenlong is this giant or this very large bestial creature.
Yeah, no, as he says that, Otis just kind of look at him with the blank expression blinking, like, really?
he's like he might freak some people out, but we'll get it figured out. And Cassius says, "Oh, don't bother." And he looks at you, Otis, and he hands you the book, the monster manual, and he says, "Should you need me again, you can call upon me anytime."
Should you need us?
And should you need us? Yes, should you need us?
Well, can't you just hang out
Sir.
for a bit longer?
What? I'm sorry, what?
Like, can't you just hang out for a bit longer?
He says, yeah, sure. Let's fly back together, and I'll explain to you how this book works now. Because you look at it, and you see that there are 3 medallions on the book, but one of the spaces, circular spaces where a medallion would go, is missing, the one in the middle. On either side of it is a medallion of your shock lizard, Shocker, And the other medallion on the other side is of your blink dog Blinker. He says, yeah. He says, hop on my back, Otis. It's been too long.
Otis does so.
Says, I'll fly you back, buddy. And with that, he flies up in the air, leaving you guys behind. Only for like a couple of seconds later to return and then land again in front of all you and goes, yeah, I didn't think about this, but I have no idea where we're going.
Nice.
What a way to ruin a moment, Cassius.
Yeah. Now we fast forward back to, well, actually, yeah, now we fast forward to you, Quill. You, Quill.
And that's where I go pee.
Yeah.
Time travel.
Yeah. You, Quill. You are completely unaware of the past night's events and the return of Otis, Herokin, or any of that. You know, you have barely any knowledge of the assassination attempt that's gonna be performed on Mazaru, if any at all, I think.
I think I got like a brief explanation when I talked to them for like the couple seconds between day 1 and 2, but it was like
Yeah, Android
the
gave him
worst.
a brief update.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it's like
that's
the
right.
worst explanation.
That's when dude tried to assassinate you. That's right, at the tournament. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So you,
But yeah, other than that, he doesn't know anything else though. He's just like, huh?
yeah, you've been through your own trials and tribulations, as it were. You've been through a tournament where you've had to basically fight other competitors in hand-to-hand combat. You've had assassins stick what is called the jade worm in your head and try to eat your brain, effectively turn you into a vegetable.
Yeah. Didn't take much.
Yeah. You've gone down memory lane and relived some of your more traumatic childhood experiences. You've also had you've had the ancestors get inside your head and question who you are. You know? And try to create doubt in your own mind to test your mettle. You've succeeded. Yeah, you succeeded in winning the race. Being the one to pilot your ancestor to victory, and now here you are in their hidden temple, with all 4 of them standing before you, awaiting your answer. What shall it be? A breath weapon? Or a question? Or an answer to a question?
I'll let you know right now, a quarter decided my fate.
Yeah. And
I couldn't decide.
What did the quarter say, bud?
The quarter said we're going breath weapon. Now the problem is which one. Fuck. So the darkness one, it would just be a globe that would just be an area around me.
Yeah. You
Right?
would create a sphere of darkness, just like the spell. Just around you. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't follow you, but it would, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's where like, yeah, I'm probably gonna go with the force breath then.
The force breath? Garrick's. Okay. All right. I will have to look up those stats again, and I'll give them to you
That's fine.
in a little bit. You know?
You're good.
But okay, so you choose the force breath?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that one. I think, like I said, when I was thinking about it, it was hard for me to decide what he would actually do, and it was really a 50-50 on whether he'd ask a question or do that. I feel like if between which one I could rationalize either one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And equal being equal, he would definitely go with something that would, it basically says I punch you in the face with my breath, so
Cool.
that's his jam.
I'm gonna choose to believe that that's how you explained it to them. I'll go with the force breath because it'll let you punch somebody in the face with my breath.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that's how he would be like. Yeah,
that's
sounds
what.
spicy.
Yeah, when you say that, Garrix goes, "Ha!" He goes, "Every time, I'm always the first one." He goes, "You went."
Equal just kind of chuckles. He's like, the darkness. That sounds fun.
He goes, "Well, you win another one of these, you can always come back." You hear
Equal laughs. He's like, yeah, okay.
Fallizer just kind of grunts. He goes, "If he comes back, if he even lives." He just sounds so dejected right now.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
You watch as Kernipsis, just the prism dragon, just kind of elbow him. He says, "Stand up straight, brother." Fallizer goes back to standing,
Yeah.
Garrix gets down off of his perch and he approaches you. He says, "This that I give you is a heavy responsibility. You carry on my name and my bloodline. I want you to know this. And the task that has been given to you by our people, you will use this breath to find our queen, Tachesis. Free her from her prison. May we go with you always." And then he blasts you with the force breath. Just yeah. When he does it too, like at first it feels like you're about to just get blasted, but then you watch as it's like you can see it, the force coming out of his mouth, and it hits you, but then it kind of woofs up like a cloud and works its way into your mouth. But then pretty soon, before you know it, it's no longer like covering your whole body. He's shooting it directly into your mouth as you just sit there in the chair, just kind of taking a mouth shot. Just
Oh yeah, one more time.
getting smoked in the mouth. You heard me.
Yeah, run it back. Let me hear that one more time.
As he's blasting you, and then he's done. And you just take in a deep breath, and it feels minty.
Minty.
Okay. like you just popped like you just popped a Tic Tac. Like you just popped a Tic Tac. You're like, No, I said minty. I didn't say pineapple juice. You're welcome.
Pineapples.
Yeah. You're like, And then Garrix goes and gets back up on his perch, and they all look at you and they say, "Follow the path down the mountain."
He says he says to him, he's like, thanks, man. Like, it was real. It was fun. Evidently, I got a lot of shit to do. He just kind of gives him the wave and turns.
They nod. And as you exit the temple, you watch as the temple's mouth closes. The giant golden dragon head just... Then you hear one of them inside go, "Anybody up for a game of cribbage?" "Yeah, okay, deal." "Yeah, but you always cheat." "No, you cheat." No, you don't hear any of that. But part of you can't help but wonder, do they just hang out in that temple until or what? Part of you can't help but wonder how that works.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're leaving the temple, you do see a path that goes down the mountainside that you did not notice before. You look over at the cave that the others entered in, and that cave mouth is still there, but there's now a path taking you directly down the mountainside into the Forgotten City.
Fair enough.
So you begin walking down the mountainside. Takes you about half a day. And
Motherfucker couldn't even give me a carriage.
Yeah. Takes you about half a day. You are the honor chosen winner of the Jingzhou. If you cannot walk down, if you cannot make a hike, that's like Homer Simpson winning the Stanley Cup. What is,
Yeah, he wants to be carried down by his peons. Damn it!
Yeah.
Fucking you, Quill. What are you talking about?
You walk down the mountainside, and as you can see the city now, you see that there's a giant crowd of people, and they're looking up at you, a dragoon, Bunzai, Kuatoa, humans, Kitsune, all of the denizens, the Feng Zhang, the Daji, all of them are just down there, and they're just cheering as they see that it is you who is approaching. And they're just, I mean, it is a spectacle to behold. And you see that group of musicians who have been at every major festival there, all the ones, the ones.
My hit of my, okay,
yeah, and they see you, and they're like, and you hear one of them go, a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, they just start.
I'm gonna retcon that they because this is what he does. He sees all that, and he does the Randy Orton, and its voice is playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's coming down like that, like yeah, bitch.
And in fact, I'm gonna retcon a little bit. When that happens, the leader of the group says, "Oh, we're gonna hit this." He says, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and it goes boom, and the lead singer. He doesn't say anything about voices. No, he plays the good one. He says, "Hey, there's nothing you can say."
Super old, there you go.
You know what I'm getting. You know what I'm saying.
I know it is.
He's hitting the good one, Any of you Golden Wonders out there catch that reference? Let me know in the guest book. That's my comment section. Anyways, so shameless plug. Anyway, so yeah. And you make your way down into the crowd, and everybody's like, "Oh man," "Oh!" And down there, you one of the first people you see pushing through the throng of people is a big old chunky panda Feng Zhang panda bear man come walking up, and you see Kung Po come walking up, and he's like, "You did it! You did it!"
I mean,
he's like, "Come here, brother," and he gives you one of those bear hugs that pins your arms to your side, and he lifts you off the ground with the greatest of ease.
He's like, "Strike back, Jesus!"
He's like, "If it couldn't have been me, I'm so glad it was you, brother."
He's like, yeah, okay. Whoa.
He's like,
okay.
He like sets you down. He's like, "Did you see me get stuck at the gate?" He's like, "I froze. I stood there so long I pissed myself."
That's you cleaned yourself, right?
He goes, "Yes."
Okay, cool.
And then just kind of looks off to the side and goes, "Let's get some chicken." And as he's saying that, you all of a sudden hear a scream so loud that it's so loud everybody just stops. That's how loud the scream is, and it's coming from the Forgotten Palace.
Yeah.
We're gonna rewind back now.
Oh no.
To
Oh fuck.
Yeah, everybody knows.
Damn it, Daniel.
Zoltan Android.
Well, we fucked this up.
Zoltan. You don't know. That scream, that is a very ambiguous scream. It can mean anything right now.
Well, you Quill's in a throng of people, so it's not that type of scream.
Android, Zoltan, Agaragis, and now the returned Otis Herokin. You all have laid down for the night. Is there anything you guys want to do before
Oh shit. Yeah. I wish to meditate.
Okay. Zoltan is gonna meditate. Android, how about you?
I guess Android's gonna meditate too.
Elves. Am I right?
that's-
Elves.
That's how I prepare spells again, is meditating.
Yeah. You got to do it in the
Alright.
morning, though.
Meditation, boys.
I can't. Never mind.
Meditation, boy. Yeah, but I mean, elves kind of meditate over sleep, anyways, if they so wish. So we
Yes,
can
I'm
give you
gonna
that.
meditate. I'm gonna
Okay.
meditate anyways and ponder on the hourglass more. That's what Zoltan's doing tonight.
What is Agaragis doing?
Uh,
Doo-doo,
she said
doo-doo.
meditate. She said, meditate.
Well, yeah, if you remember, Agaragis goes into like a stasis where they become like an actual
Yeah,
mushroom
it
type
just
thing.
made me laugh because of the look on her face when she said it.
Yeah.
She's just sitting across the room. She was just like, meditate. And then, I don't know.
She's shrooming up.
So Otis, on the we don't have to be there at the moment. We can rewind back to the fly home if you want to conversate with Cassius a little bit for the flight home, because I kind of feel like that's what you were wanting to do, if you want to do that, or we can just get you back and you can tell me what you're doing to rest. It's up to you.
Well, he needs to show me how to use these metals.
So on the flight back, Cassius is just kind of like half apologizing to you. Like, he can't quit apologizing to you. He's like, I know that I wasn't the easiest griffin to deal with. He goes, I kind of treated you like you were more of a hassle than my duty, and I almost failed my mission, not only to Obot High, but to you as well. And so I apologize for that, Otis. He says as you guys go landing like down at the temple with everybody as they all disperse to go to their rooms.
Okay, well, first things first, stop apologizing. It's not really your fault. It's my own that this happened. Secondly, yes, I'm a hassle. Have you met me?
He says, you are unique, but
It's just a polite way of saying a hassle.
he says, well, when Obod High showed me, when we were on Mount Celestia, when he showed me the exploits of your adventures that I wasn't privy to before meeting you, I realized that yes, you may be a hassle, but you are also a brave and courageous person.
I don't know about that. Maybe stupid.
He goes, well, Obot High is always watching. He told me about the time that he goes, and oddly enough, I was there for that, and it hadn't even occurred to me that you had literally leapt through the air from one griffin onto me. Through the air. He goes, and then there was...
Yeah, 10 out of 10. I'd do it again.
He says, very well then.
Stand on business.
But you are
Yeah.
a champion of Obot High. And I know what it is he showed you in your vision. Because he told me what was going to have to transpire. There is a lot that is happening with the gods right now. They are vanishing. And he gave me a warning to give to you, Otis. There aren't very many clerics left in this world. The gods have cut their divine gifts off for reasons. And so he wanted me to warn you about that, because people are going to see you calling upon the power of a god. And some are going to look to you for hope. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to abuse you.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Some of them just want to be abused.
He dropped the first lyric, and I'm like, yeah.
No, but really, he says, some of them are going to want to use you. He goes, it is a path of treachery that you are going down. He goes, but he believes in you. And so I do as well. Says, and with that said, it's simple. When you have to, you just recall me back to the book, and I will become a medallion on that book. You can call Shocker and Blinker in the same manners. Because you don't want to keep us here for too long, though. Something about the book's limitations or something of that. It says there is a way to get around it, but I don't know what it is, and we'll have to discover it together. But for now, I am a little tired, so I'm just going to go back to the book for now. Whenever you need me, just flip to the page that has me in there, and I will come.
All right.
Same
Otis is
thing.
gonna hug Cassius.
When you hug him, he just like, he looks startled for a minute. He's like, oh, and just kind of smiles. Only, he's a griffin, so he can't really smile, but like he kind of emotes a smile, and he's like, it's good to have you back, Otis.
It's good to be back.
And he goes into the medallion, and the book shuts, and you hold the monster manual in your hands with the 3 medallions on it. Laudi, who doesn't understand privacy, is standing over there watching the whole thing, and he's like, Otis, I can show you to your room if you'd like.
Yeah, let's go.
So, this place isn't like any place Otis has ever seen before. Just not just in decoration, but in actual architecture as well. The rooftops look like they're made out of clay tiles that resemble shells more than anything, all stacked upon one another, and they all laid down into like curves that fan down and then up and out. With towers. Most of the buildings look like they lead up into towers that shoot up with pagoda like tops on them, and everything smells like there's wafts of incense and other kinds of foods that you've never smelt before. Decorations with languages you don't even know, writing on them, and pictures like oil paintings of past events, or some of them are kind of lewd. Tassels made out of red silk, tapestries that are the size of rugs, depicting ancient battles and things of that nature. The flooring is marble in some places, and the walls look like they may be made out of like a certain kind of clay until you get inside the actual palace. And then you realize that they don't have like wooden doors with handles like you're used to. Their bedrooms, their walls are basically, they look like sticks that are, you got sticks that run vertically, with sticks running horizontally, making squares, a series of squares like a grid. And then in each square is paper, rice paper. And you can't see through it, but if somebody's in that one of those rooms with a candle or anything, you can make out their shadows in there, so you know which rooms have people in there and which rooms don't. But it is a curious culture you have found yourself in. You see what is the equivalent of dragon people walking around, which just completely fascinates you, because you know the legends of dragons. You thought dragons were extinct, and yet you're in an entire land full of humanoid dragon people. It kind of reminds you of when you were in, and a memory comes back to you, it kind of reminds you of when you were in the Beastlands with Mindock and you met those people who called themselves Dragonborn. Only none of them had wings. Some of these dragon-looking people, some of them do have wings. And they're not the chromatic colored dragons. They're not red, green, white, blue. Some of them are blue with like white crystals in their scales, so they're like a combination of like a whitish blue. Some of them are like a bronze brown, or like a more golden color. Some of them are red and coal black. Some of them are green with like black as well, but the green is more neon and the black is more shadowy looking on their bodies. None of them look like any of the depictions of a dragon you've ever heard of before. And it's just, take it. I don't want to keep saying you're shocked or whatever. Otis is your character. You take it how you want. But what I'm saying is you had no idea that this place even existed. Perhaps, do you have a knowledge going back to Otis, and because we all know how well Otis paid attention in school.
Nice.
We're back to it, folks. It's like he never left. What knowledges do you have? Speaking of which, we're gonna see if you know any of these, if you do actually know any of this stuff. Yeah, you do. Well, you do have a knowledge in everything almost, don't you? Just about.
Just about.
Let's go with a knowledge of geography. Go ahead and roll a knowledge of geography. Let's see. That's not terrible. That's actually not terrible. You look, and something about this actually rings a bell. Oddly enough, you seem to remember when you were a child being taught how to be a cleric. Something was mentioned about how there are other places besides the continent of Siren, other continents as it were. And far east there is a continent where legend has it that dragons still exist. But you don't really recall, you don't remember them being actually called dragons. The name dragon was in it, but you don't, and you struggle because you're like, because you were paying attention pretty good, and then you saw a squirrel almost get eaten by a dog, and you were just like, oh, would you check that out? And the rest of the lesson went right over your head. But you do remember your teacher being like, Otis, that is called the circle of life. It happens every day. Can you please focus? And here you are. So you know basically that you are far, far from home. That much you can gather from it. And that these are, for a lack of a better term, these are dragon people. You know? And he tells you this, or you think about this as Laudi shows you to your room, and he slides the door because they don't open up, they slide over, and he just opens up the door, and you are furnished with a room. Fortunately, the main wall leading to the outside is made out of clay with a window in it, so it's not that paper structure or anything. That leading to the outside is solid. However, all the other walls are made out of this rice paper and wood. And the beds aren't on a structure. They're beds. They look comfortable, but they lay flat on the ground, almost like your bedroll. Almost like a bedroll, only a little bit fancier and looks a little bit more comfortable. With a nightside stand table that doesn't have a chair, just a pillow to sit on, because it's close to the floor as well, with a few candles burning, and a wash basin made out of brass, filled with water for you to wash and do whatever other things you have to do.
Yeah, Otis is just looking at the room, just like, oh my Obad High Who are these barbarians?
Does he say that?
He whispers it to himself.
Loudy says, "We hope you enjoy your stay, and I will come and get you in the morning. It is nice to meet you, Otis, and perhaps sometime, well." And you look at him as he begins to say this, but then he looks kind of sad and he says, "Never mind."
No. What's up?
He says, "Oh, well, I was going to say perhaps sometime you could tell me about your history with the Inglorious Few, but time is kind of short, and I'm sure you are tired, and I don't know if we'll actually have the time later on. That's all."
I'm sure we can find some time.
He just smiles at you kindly. It's like he's looking at you, and you just see this kind of like realization come over his face, almost like he's looking at you and he like realizes the kind of person you are. And he's like, "Yeah, perhaps." He says, I think I understand why Android keeps you in his company. And I am glad you have returned from whatever turmoil you were stuck in."
You know, me too.
With that, he bows real low. And then he like looks up at you and he goes, "Oh, we bow. Android was telling me that where you're from, people sometimes grab each other's forearms or hands and they shake them vigorously. Here, we just bow to one another."
Okay. Otis is going to bow, lose his footing, and just face plant into the floor.
Yes! Otis, ladies and gentlemen. Otis. Otis has returned. Loudy just goes, "Oh my." And the kind of like complete like that breaks him. He's like that staunch, attitude that he normally has, that he's like, "Oh." And he helps you get back to your feet. He says, "Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it." And then he goes back to looking, was good night then. And he walks away. And you hear him just kind of one more time, "Get a hold of yourself, man."
Otis is going to shout to him. I was like, "It's okay to laugh."
He gives no response to that. In Android's room, Android, you're in your room like meditating, and Solar didn't leave this time. He's just hanging out on your table watching you.
Nice.
And he's kind of cleaning his feathers, he's molting really bad. You hear him kind of mumble, "My goodness, the Nine Hills. It's dried out most of my feathers, man. I'll be surprised if I ever get them back. I'm gonna be a bald eagle is what I'm gonna be."
Nice.
Yeah.
Funny.
He looks over at you, Android, and he goes, "So I'm sure you have some questions."
Android kind of sits quietly for a minute, and eventually he kind of takes in a breath through his nose. And he's keeping his eyes closed, and he's like, now actually, I don't think I really do.
Says fair
Strangely.
enough. Says fair enough. He says, "Well, I've been given permission to tell you as much as I can. And Corlon believes it's time you know." He looks you over for a minute and he goes, You remember, don't you?
Android just kind of nods, just a slow single nod.
For what it's worth, I didn't want to keep it from you. I did because I was instructed to. And if Corlon weren't as kind as he is, he probably would have dismissed me entirely for even questioning his decision to do so. Because I told him that it was a bad idea to lock the memories away from you. That all he was doing was stealing time from you to heal. But in his wisdom,
Android kind of keeping his eyes closed, he kind of cocks his head at this a little bit, and he says, Solar, understand something. I realize your position, and I forgive you. Really, I feel as though I'm the one that needs to apologize to you for growing to be so angry. He says, to put it this way, do you think it'd be good for Otis to remember what torment his carcass may have been through while in the Nine Hells?
says, I have a hard time believing that anything can break that one's spirit. I believe Obot High knew what he was doing when he chose Otis to be his champion. He needed somebody as wild and unpredictable as nature itself to represent him. However,
He says, fair enough. And could the same not be said from Coralon's position in regards to his own decision? And he says, I believe that your reluctance in the matter comes from your care for me, I think it comes from a place of compassion for me. It's not that Coralon wanted to, or that he intended to steal the time for me to heal, as I'm sure you understand yourself. I think it's just that he more or less, how you say, didn't want to burden me with it at that time.
wiser words couldn't have been spoken, Android, unless they came out of Coralon's mouth themselves. For when I told him he was stealing the time from you, he looked at me and said, time is the one thing that is not on our side. And so he locked the memories away from you. Says something that gets lost in translation between the realms is the way time works. You were there for a long time, and I'm not going to make you remember all of that, but you were there for a long time. And even when we did our forced march in there to get you out, it took a long time to get you back into to recoup you. Even on the mounts of Celestia, you were like a vegetable. There were times where I was wondering if you would even come out of it. But Coralon never lost the faith that you would make your way back. To us, it was an unmentionable amount of time. To the material plane, it was 5 years. It took you 5 years to come back. Ao would have sent the others without you. But if Coralon hadn't beseeched him the way that he did, you you might have lost more time here. You, like Otis, might just be coming through a portal now. Who knows? But Ao waited. He heeded Coralon, and you came back. And that's why you weren't with the others when you recuperated. We have been doing this a long time, and it is unfathomably impossible for me to explain it. But we have seen things transpire many a times, and I have been working with Coralon even since before you met me, in trying to prevent the end of your reality. So, I guess what I am trying to say is that if it seems like I've been keeping secrets from you, it's because I have. But not because I wanted to, but because it's almost too much for me to bear. And so, all I can do is beseech you now for forgiveness for having not been 100% with you when we first met all those years ago. It is like I knew you before you were formed. And that is the best I can explain it. And with that, he just grows quietly now as well.
All right, then. Keep your secret.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm playing. But
Yeah, I know.
Android, he just quietly nods and says nothing else.
Solar just kind of burrows his head down into his feathers, letting his wings kind of cover him up like he's going into a sleep stance, And before he, clocks out, as it were, he says one last thing. He says, there is a lot that I can't tell you, but only because telling you doesn't necessarily change anything. And I don't want to inadvertently cause something that could be avoided without you having knowledge of it.
He just says, very well, And he says, I understand your position.
With that, the candle in the room has been burning, and it's low now, and it finally just peters out, drenching the room in like a darkness. Not a cold, unforgiving darkness, just the normal nocturnal light that happens, allowing both Android and Solar to sit there with their thoughts, now having come to a better understanding of one another. Zoltan, hello. You are meditating on your hourglass again, right? Or you said you were meditating. I don't know what it is you're meditating on. Did you say you were meditating on the hourglass?
Yes.
So have you come to any other newer thoughts on this, or you're just still pondering the same things over and over again?
Well, Zoltan's thinking, if it was able to go back in time on need, could he force it to go back on time if he wants?
Does he want to try?
Yeah. He wants to To work his hypothesis, he wants to go to the window and jump out of it and pray to God that it could teleport him back.
Well, you're not very high up, so I mean, the worst that'll happen is you'll just fall like a 5 foot distance and slap your face on the ground. You know, you're not like
Yeah.
high up in the air, but okay. So you do that, you jump out the window, and you focus really hard, like, oh, go back, go back, go back, and you slap the ground. I mean, just completely boom, hit your face. And because you just went all willy nilly, you actually lose a tooth. And the tooth goes rolling out of your mouth, and you feel that pain of what it feels like when, you know, your root in your tooth is exposed.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, ow! And the second you do that, all of a sudden and everything rewinds, and you're boom, sitting back, meditating again in the room.
Okay. So this time, Zoltan starts thinking about Shumi and what would happen to her if she was to get abducted and he couldn't do anything about it, and he does the same thing.
Now you begin those thoughts and you start thinking about that. And as you're thinking about that, all of a sudden you can hear your own heartbeat inside your ears, your eardrums. It's a, you know what I mean? And it hurts. It actually hurts. Like you feel a whole pain in your chest. And when it causing you to close your eyes and squeeze them tight, only you don't see darkness behind your eyelids. It's like you can see behind your eyelids. Like you can see what your eyelids look like on the backs of them. You can see the red blood, the veins, as it were, fill with blood. And every time those veins that you're looking at grow large and they flicker. And it hurts almost so much that you have to like grab your chest and you put your hand over the hourglass as you hear it kind of zzz, zzz, and then it subsides and it feels like there's a slight tugging and then it's gone. What does it mean? I don't know.
What a pain in the ass this hourglass is.
Leaving you with more questions. Agargus, come across the room and come back to the mic.
She goes, okay. She's Kevin.
Yeah, I knew. Just much like the real Agargus, our Agargus has wandered off somewhere, and I need to draw them back. So Agargus, you are in your stasis form right now. And if you remember, that's like when we called it becoming planted, right? It's like almost like you become a real mushroom, and it's your form of sleep. It's like when an android shuts down or something, you know? You're not actually sleeping, but you're not actually functioning either. You, for all intents and purposes, you're like a real fungus at this point, you know? You're just sitting there planted into the ground, relaxing, letting your body recuperate and take in the nutrients that happen through moonlight and whatnot. You know, during the day it's like chlorophyll, during the night it's like moonlight, whatever. But you know what I'm saying, right? You function like an actual plant. And this stasis, when you plant yourself, that's what happens. And I know a fungus really isn't a plant, but you get what I'm saying. You got plant-like traits. But while you're in there, the one thing that while you're like this, the one thing is you can still think. It's not like your mind just completely shuts down, right? You're still capable of thought and things like that, because you would have to be. Because if even your mind shut down, then anybody could just walk up on you and catch you unawares, you know? So the one thing that still functions is your mind. And because it still functions, you can still think. Now, I don't know what to venture a guess that Agaragis may be thinking about right now. But I am curious to know, what would Agaragis be thinking about right now? Actually, before we get to what I'm gonna talk about, let's see what Agaragis would be thinking about right now.
So he's actually thinking about whether or not he has anything else to tell you guys, or not you, but and Loudy and stuff.
Pondering the party, or about what to tell the party.
What? Yeah, if he told them everything, if he didn't leave something out.
I'm going to, instead of rolling an intelligence or anything like that, I'm going to say that because you are in this state, it allows your mind to kind of steal and relax all the chaotic thoughts that Agaragis gets when they're active. And because you are pondering this, I'm going to tell you that what happened was you snuck up to the farm, and before you even had a chance to spy on them, one of the dragoon caught you and tried to capture you, basically. But after an incredible amount of resilience on your part, I might also add, you managed to actually fend him off long enough to open your pocket dimension and jump into it to hide in your alchemist's lab. When you did that, you brewed your potions and did stuff like that, but you watched out your window and watched how the owner of the farm, which the farm is called Longji Nanchang Farm, the owner of the farm who had introduced himself before, Zhuzhai Nanzi, but everybody calls him Z for short. Z got into an argument with one of the visitors. The visitor's name, if I can find it, the visitor's name was Governor Yokai. Oh, yeah, no, it wasn't him. My bad. The owner, Z got into an argument with a green scale dragoon. Yes, a green shadow scale dragoon. Who he called by name. And his name was... Let me find it. Let me look. His name was Kazaki Yuri. And you do recognize him now, thinking about it. When you guys left that banquet, the one where you guys insulted the Shogun, he bumped into Android and told Android to watch where he's going. And this Kozaki Yuri kept going on and on about a bootleg business that they have going, where they sell the mash to people for Wujin abilities. You know, it's a highly coveted ingredient in a lot of Wujin's spells. And he was worried because he'll have to report back to the pagoda. And you don't know what the pagoda is, but you know he said he'd have to report back to the pagoda to tell them that possibly now the empire is going, the shogunate is gonna, arrest them all now for being bootleggers and selling forbidden ingredients. But they never mentioned a Wujin. Nothing about an assassination attempt or plot was ever even mentioned. And now that you have time to really think about it, it leaves you now really informed that perhaps these guys really don't have anything to do with the assassination attempt. That perhaps you guys actually chased a red herring and found out other information about something completely unrelated. But through a series of unfortunate misunderstandings and events, uh, these guys are now freaking out about you guys because they think you guys are there to bust them over this, when really you were trying to find out whether or not they were involved with a Wujin who's trying to assassinate Mazaru, the shaman. And this whole realization comes to you now that you're able to still your mind and think it over. You know? And I will say from here on out, whenever you go into these kinds of states and you really want to determine something, you know, beyond Agaragus's more chaotic nature, because we all really love that. It's great content, don't get me wrong. But if you really do want to decipher some of those thoughts, I will say from here on out, whenever you go into planting yourself this stasis here, you can still your mind and actually work through some of your memory, you know? So you can do that from here on out. Okay?
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But yeah, so that so you recall all of that now. And then you can't help but kind of chuckle because you realize, oh man, I completely gave what's his name, Lao D, the wrong information. I told him about a completely different instance.
Nice.
And you,
I think it was a wall, she says.
and,
There's a wall. There's a really thin wall that I fell through. I think it was a wall. So funny.
which is funny because you know, you've already told them about this instance as well. And that's
Yeah.
why you guys are so suspicious of Kara Shin in the first place.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, you're putting it all together now and realizing, oh, oops. Oopsie daisy.
Yeah. Different day.
Well, what do I And because you still are a Garagus, you can't help but find this hilarious. Even though your mind is stilled, this is still funny as I'll get out to you. And in the middle of that laughter, you hear a very familiar voice of a woman say, "Having a good time, are you?"
Oh shit.
And you recognize her voice. You know who she is. She is your creator. She says, "I'm so glad you're having fun gallivanting around, doing whatever it is you're doing, making friends, and all of that. I just sure hope you haven't forgotten the duty that I laid before you,
You said duty.
the purpose that I
Nice.
have given you, Agaragus. You have one task, and that's not to go on adventures, not to make friends, or loved ones for that matter. I am the only one you know. I am the only one you love. And I am the only one who will ever truly love you. Get the task done. You are wasting time and wearing thin on my patience." And on that last little bit, it's like her voice becomes a whisper on the wind as it fades away from your mind. And you know what it is she's speaking of.
Oh,
Oh, snap. Let's see, what time is it? Okay. We've got
He tells her to go get a job.
yeah. You are a freeloader. You forgot ugly and disrespectful. We got about an hour left, so we're gonna kick this into high gear. Let's see here. You Quill. Right?
Yeah, that's him.
You hear that scream coming from the temple, from the forgotten from the Forgotten City's palace, you know? And somehow you just know. You don't know how you know, but a quick glance of everybody around and you realize your compadres are nowhere to be seen. Which can mean only one thing.
Nothing good.
So you begin to tear through the crowd and make your way up towards the temple, right?
Mhm.
Like back to business.
It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. I'm done being your savior. Jesus has got to go now.
Yeah, pretty much. Shit to do it all.
You're gonna show up and just look at them like the meme. Hi, what you looking at?
You.
You start pushing your way through the crowd. I need you to roll a strength check. Start rolling some strength checks here, buddy. You are pressing against the multitudes, trying to push through them. So, I'm not expecting like superhuman feats here. Although we got one, that was pretty freaking good. Oh my gosh. We got one.
Move.
Okay, you know what? I'm not even going to roll against that because that's the second status ability check of the night that turned out pretty freaking tasty. I mean, you guys are killing it with these rolls. Yeah, so I'm not even.
He channeled his inner ludicrous.
Yeah, I mean, move. Yeah, I just ate some quiche. Move. So yeah. Easy there, white chocolate. Okay, anyways.
Okay.
So you start pushing through the crowd, like you're just like, nope, gotta go, and you're just like palming people, but they're like, oh, looking at you, and you're literally placing your palm on their whole face and moving them out of the way. Just nope. I mean, just bumping elbows. I mean, you're getting through, and Kung Po is just like, hey, where are you going? I thought we were gonna get some chicken. So he's like, oh, so he starts pushing people out of the way with you. Just blah, blah, blah. But he's, but he doesn't really, you don't really need his help. In fact, you're like way ahead of him and he's just kind of following behind you like, where are you going? And you guys go running through the streets. The streets of the Forgotten City are pretty barren, save for a few people, who did not go. But the multitude of people who were there for the festival were all there at the summit of the mountain. So you basically have to push through a crowd of people through about half the city until you get about free of it. That's how compact everybody was. But when you finally get to the city, you go running down the city streets, and then out of nowhere, you're stopped by some familiar figures dressed in jade armor. Now the armor isn't full-bodied armor. It is there is some leather and things of that nature involved in it. But you recognize them as the ones who held you down that night and implanted the jade worm in you.
Mm-hmm.
They have jade leather armor on. It's all real decorative. There's a little bit of metal mixed in with their armor, but for the most part, it's all leather and cloth. Because these guys are stealthy. You know, their mission is stealth, and they come dropping down from the rooftops at you, like landing down on either side. There's about 5 of them who just come boom, 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 dropping down around you for an ambush.
Nice.
And then, out of nowhere, 2 of them instantly get taken out because you hear a "Don't worry, friend," and you watch as Kung Po just comes running up and double clotheslines 2 of them, just boom, and you watch as they just go flipping through. I mean, so like Dolph Ziggler taking a freaking Sweet Chin music, just flipping through the air and just bam, 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 just completely lifeless. And he's like, he looks at you and goes, "Battle?"
It appears so.
He goes, "Battle!" Go ahead and roll a initiative. Actually, hold on.
Holding.
What is your initiative total?
10?
Your initiative altogether is 10?
Mm-hmm.
Christ almighty.
You forgot I took a lot of shit to make sure I had a high initiative.
You sure did. Okay, so we're gonna combine yours.
I'll go first.
So we're gonna So we're gonna start trying this new battle system that I have, right? So you roll a
Exactly.
roll d20, and instead of a +10, roll a +11, because I'm combining yours and Kung Po's initiative. Okay, that's a 20. Okay.
Let's say that and then why?
No. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I don't need to add that. I know what that is. Okay. Oh, wait. There was 5 of them, so there'd be 3 of them. Okay. Wow. Oh my gosh. What is your No, you know what? On this new battle system, I hadn't thought about what to do if we get ties. I'm just always gonna give it to the party if there's a tie. I don't care. Because believe me, you'll appreciate that when you guys actually have to fight a boss. So go ahead. You and Kung Po get to go first. So, go ahead and tell me where you're gonna move. So you're standing in these streets, right? There's buildings around you. I want you to think of an old. Think of like you're in medieval Japan, you know, think of it like that. I hate to drop it like that, but you know, you got that kind of city streets in there, you know, you're in Samurai Champloo right now. It's that kind of setting, and you still got three of these Jade mercenaries in front of you. And they landed probably about 25 feet away from you. You know, the two that Kung Po took out were behind you, and he just came running up and took them completely out. So, go ahead and move and tell me what it is you want to do.
Just whoever's in front of me is getting it, the closest one.
Okay, so I think because Kung Po gets to go, he's gonna watch you do that, and then he's going to see the one you're charging. So he before you go to charge, he puts a hand on your shoulder and looks at you and goes, he goes, you want to bulldog these guys?
Sure.
He says, all right. And he picks you up. All right. And literally sets you on his shoulders. Right. And then grabs you by the arms. And he goes charging in. He says, when I throw you, attack. And he runs in for a charge and stops short of 10 feet and throws you at them. Hold on, I'm going to roll a strength check for this real quick. Which I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he rolled. Yeah, he got high. He's got pretty good strength, and he throws you at them, right? You said the one closest to the front of you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, roll your attack.
That's not there we go. Oh. Ugh. While I was flying, I activated what's that called? Power. It gives me bonus damage to my if I hit.
Okay.
But also, where? Hold on, I'm seeing something. Forgive. Look. What?
You got to set up
Yeah,
some
fuck it.
macros, don't you?
Well, you got to remember, mine changes so much that it's.
Yeah, you'd have like
Yeah, I'd have so many, it'd have to be like, if I want to take all of it, none of it, some of it.
yeah.
No, we won't be too greedy, but we're going to be greedy. Ooh, we were too greedy.
No, you weren't. No, well, I mean, you were, but
You saw how greedy I was.
yeah. But what I mean by that is, yeah, these guys are just wearing, not much in the way. So yeah, you smack them, right? You smack and you activate that. So picture this: Poe just picks you up like you guys are an ice skating duet or something. He goes charging, and he's like, oh, and then just slings you like the razor's edge at them. You pull out your sword, and you're like, my sword? You realize your sword is with you somehow, and you don't even know where all that came from. You realize you're wearing all your armor, and it never even dawned on you that when you walked through the dragon gate, you were suddenly clothed in all your garb,
Yeah.
But you realize, oh crap, huh? And then you activate your aura, and you hit that one. Roll your damage.
Oh shit! I forgot. It would have been higher because I forgot Eurus is different now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's all good.
Well, it doesn't matter. You hit, so
Yeah. Hold 1 second. God, I took a lot. What did I take?
math is fun.
Yes, math with friends. So for those that don't know, I have power attack, and that's why I'm having to math because I dropped my melee's 25, and I dropped all but 5, so it's 20 plus 5 plus 3. That's 28.
And it's not as streamlined as 5th edition, honestly. But you can do insane stuff like what you just did. So you smack the one in the middle for 43. But the added bonus of Poe throwing you with such ferocity is that when you smack that one in the middle for 43, it causes like a shock wave that sends the other two on either side of it blasting off. It pushes them out and away, knocking them back for 10 feet. I gotta roll some balances here real quick. Actually, I'm just gonna roll this. Okay, so neither one of them are knocked prone, but they are knocked away for 15 feet. Both of them just almost like losing their balance. And you do that damage, and you do that filthy damage on that one. Uh, it rocks them pretty freaking hard, but they killing it. Actually, I forgot. These ones are like minions now. I'm adopting that whole minion principle, which if you're not familiar with 4th edition, that's fine. I wasn't, but this is actually an idea that I had, or that I stole from 4th edition, because it's a pretty good idea the way this works. But yeah, so this one is kind of classified as a minion, and you freaking just smack the freaking daylights out of it and instantly kill it.
Yeah.
Kill the the Jade Mercenary, just take it completely out.
Okay. Well, then I take my step and I'm gonna shit whip Heritage out and fling it.
Okay. Now, he's got the quick draw feat, which allows him to just draw another weapon and attack. And because he does have cleave, he's got great cleave, he can do that all in one action.
Jesus Christo. I should have took more. Okay. What's the damage? I took how much? Well, that'd be classified as my first.
4, 27. All right. That doesn't drop it. But it darn near wants to. They just barely, the one Jade Mercenary just barely gets out of the way, kind of does a cartwheel, but gets caught right in the side. And you watch as like just a chunky fat piece of meat, like carving into a Christmas ham, just opens up, just and it starts bleeding profusely, and it actually drops down to one knee, placing a hand on the ground to hold itself up, like, oh, and it's breathing heavily. That would mean it's their turn now, because Poe used his turn to throw you. So the one sees you do that so the Jade Mercenary on your left, the one you didn't attack. We're gonna say you attacked the one on the right because you didn't really specify.
Forgive.
That's okay. I'm just letting you know that the one that's doing this right now is the one that's not injured. So the one on your left sees you kill the one in the middle and then almost kill the one on the right. So he pulls out some darts and starts slinging them at you.
Okay.
What is your AC?
28.
28. Okay, so he hits you with one. Just slings a dart at you and hits you. Doing doing 11 points of damage. Right?
No damage?
No damage?
Damage reduction of... Well, okay. No. That's 10... Hold on. Let me make sure I'm doing the math right. Fenrir gives me 10, and I have an auto as well. I don't have that aura, but I do have something else that is tanking damage. Where do... Sorry, I have a lot of notes. Forgive me.
It's okay. It's okay. It's important that we know this.
Okay. So I don't have the one up, so I take no, I'm right. There it is. So it's from Fenris Scales takes 10, and then durable damage reduction.
So no damage.
So no damage. I'm just like, son of a. That would have hurt.
Yeah, you just it kind of bounces off of you. However, even though you tank that damage, right? Something goes into your pores. I'm gonna need you to roll a fortitude save.
Fortitude there is. Faith.
37. Okay, so fair enough. That you needed that. um you feel your body begin to tighten for a minute there. You're like, what was that? Like, it didn't even pierce my skin, but there was some kind of oil or something on the blade that when it connected with your skin, it went into your pores. And you feel yourself begin to tighten up a little bit. Like you're looking, it feels as if your body wants to turn to stone for a minute.
You're a cunt.
And you kind of tighten up, you kind of flex your neck muscle a little bit, and you shake it off. Shake it off. Because that's what you got to do.
You're a fucking cunt.
And he throws another one of these darts at you.
You're a bastard.
What'd you say your armor class was?
28.
28. Okay,
1200.
he just misses you. Like you're like, what the crap? And then you see another one of those darts coming at you. And you're like, nope. And you move your head just in time as it flies by you. And he throws one more. And he throws that one at your head, you duck it. He throws another one at you real quick, and you deflect it with your sword. Just like, what the crap? And when that happens, the Jade Warrior draws his katana, telling you that they have at least 3 of them darts. The one behind you that you opened up, I'm not gonna say he catches you flat-footed, but because you're aware of him, right? But he draws his katana and comes charging at you to try and hit you from behind. And he hits. He connects with that one, doing whoa, 20 points of damage.
Okay, so 11. Or no. 20 points. It would be 9.
Okay. Well, they do hit you for 9.
Okay.
Now I'm going to need you to roll a fortitude save. Oh man. Oh man. You feel yourself begin to tighten up. And you're like, "Oh crap." And you like look around and you're like, "Oh no." And you like turn to try and hit that guy, the one behind you who just hit you. And as that happens, your whole body turns to stone. Just and you are this stone statue now, just standing in the middle of the street. Oh man. Oh.
1 second. I'm looking to see something. Mm,
You are immune to magical effects.
I'm immune to magical effects. I'm immune to paralysis and sleep. I'm looking at this other one though. The shake it off, removable effects, blindness, confused, dazzled, deafened, exhausted, fascinated, fatigued, nauseated, paralyzed, sickened, and all of her effects. That's not gonna work.
Yeah. If and you could possibly shake this off if this was magic what just happened, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's completely organic.
Okay.
So I would possibly be willing to work with you, but I
It is what it is.
it is what it is at the moment.
All I'm saying, if he ends his turn, he's catching an axe in the back of the head, regardless. You forgot about that. The axe is coming back. I threw it.
Yeah.
It's returning.
Well, that was his turn, and the axe does come back and catch him in the back of the head. Go ahead and roll your damage for that.
There was always a like. No matter how it goes, this bitch is taking damage.
They're all bragging. They're like, I got him. I got the honored chosen. And just as the axe comes back and just completely takes their head completely off, just
Nice.
and they fall to the ground dead, bouncing against you, and the axe just lands at your feet, just clunk 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 clunk.
Touche.
Yeah. Nice. Because you can't take your turn, but Poe can take his. Kung Po just comes running up like, no, buddy! And he comes running up and freaking, clicks his hands together, like, clenches his paws. And when he does, two blades just come out of a set of gauntlets, and he just comes running up and, basically goes in for a bull rush. Gets it, boom, hits that dude, and when he does, as he's pushing him back, he just starts hitting him with the gauntlets. Doing I knew he was gonna get that. All right, doing 48 points of damage. So he just, just beasts that dude to the ground. And you, Quill, even though you are completely stoned, you're kind of aware. It is the scariest thing in the world because you're still aware of like your surroundings, and you can kind of make out like faint rumblings of somebody talking. You know. I need a shaman. I need a shaman. Fast forwarding to that morning. Agaragis, Android, Otis, and Zoltan. You all individually are awakened by Laudi knocking at your guys' door. You know? Each one of you, as he knocks on your door but doesn't open it, just saying, it's time to get up. It's time to get up. We still have a long day ahead of us, and the Jingzhou isn't quite finished yet. It's still early enough that we have a little bit more time left to try and find who's behind this. We have to, says, well, I don't know, I don't know how, but we need to find out why there's two Woojin.
Rise and shine, fuckers.
Is there anything anybody wants to do this morning as they get up?
Big stretch. Not specifically. Zoltan, was there something you were saying that you could only do in the morning?
Oh yeah, meditate.
Well, I'll
Would I,
you were huh?
would I have the time to meditate?
Well, you've been meditating all night, so I imagine that like in that time period you probably just meditated this morning and got your abilities back, wouldn't you have?
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
I just
If
didn't
you-
want him to get,
Yeah,
dicked
screwed.
up and
Yeah.
down.
Well, I won't always be that kind and say, "Oh, blah blah blah," you know.
Well, that's why I wanted to make sure this wasn't one of those subtle instances.
Yeah, one of those instances where it's like, "Haha." Yeah.
Alright. Yeah.
As each of you get up and head out to meet Laudi in the main hall of the Forgotten Palace, other than just waking up, was there anything that like a Garrigus or Otis or anybody wanted to do? Or
Getting up right that second, no. But when Otis meets up with everybody, he realizes Zoltron, another new person. He's like, who the fuck?
Zoltan?
Yeah, Zoltan. What did I say?
No, you said Zoltan. Yeah, you said Zoltan is another new person. You got it right. I'm just laughing because it's like he's just now realizing Zoltan's with the group.
I was there the whole night. Just like, hey, how we doing?
What the fuck is this?
Otis Herokin, everybody. I'm so glad we finally got to get him on some of these recordings here. It's a travesty that by the time we started recording this, the Otis had already been gone, and now everybody at home gets to hear who this character is because he's mentioned from time to time. Now they're getting to see it.
Man,
I know what you're talking about.
I love Roll20. I love it so much. I'm trying to look at shit and it's lagging.
Yeah, so yeah, Otis looks at you, Zoltan, and is like, what the F?
I could say the same about you.
Okay. Who the fuck are you?
My name is Zoltan Heisenberg. What's your name?
Otis.
Nice to meet you.
I guess same. What the fuck are you doing here?
I've just been running with the group for a little bit.
Okay, I'm bored of this conversation. Moving on.
As all that's happening, you guys, as they're having that conversation, I'm gonna say they were having that conversation while walking down the hall towards the main hall. So Android, you are privy to that. Any thoughts on that conversation? Just out of curiosity, what would Android be thinking when that all happened?
Android just, as as a matter of fact, when Otis says, moving on, like, I'm bored of this conversation. Moving on, Android just goes classic. And just doesn't say anything else. He just keeps walking, shaking his head and smiling,
Yeah. How about a Garrigus this morning after last night's reprimandum?
I don't reckon Garrigus has much to say. I reckon they're still asleep.
Are you kidding me right now?
Nah.
Oh, no freaking
It's a
way.
drooling wet.
No freaking way.
Yeah.
You need to go get a cup of water. No.
I mean, I can go shake her up if you want.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We've only got like maybe 20 minutes left of the session, anyways.
I figured.
Out of
Yeah.
curiosity, though, was Agaragis awake at least when they got the reprimand?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was up for all that.
Okay, good. At least that then.
After she got done with that, she was like, "All right." Went like sat down in her chair and died. I was like, "Yeah, that's about right."
That's our Agaragis. Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. Moving on in the future though, we're gonna be playing till at least 11. So if they can make it to at least 11, that'd be great. Moving forward, but
We're about to be the
Huh?
No CPS reports. That'd be great.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So,
have you seen my stapler? Have you seen my stapler? It is red. Blah, blah. Did you know? Okay, I hate to get off on one. But did you know that stapler is actually a like popular brand of stapler, right? I can't remember, like it's Staples or some kind of staple, well known. Many offices buy this brand of stapler, whatever, right? They did not have a red stapler that they made on regular production. They made that stapler specially for that movie, right? After that movie came out and became the cult classic that it was, they now make red staplers. Yeah, just, I don't know, a little bit of a little factoid. For you Golden Wonders at home listening to this, we're talking about the movie Office Space. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It is fantastic. It is a gem that needs to be protected at all costs. Anyways, yeah. Anybody ever tell you that you've got a case of the Mondays? Nah, man. I believe you get your ass whooped for saying something like that. Anyways, such a classic movie. Anyways, no, so as you guys make it to the hall, you see Loud E standing there with a familiar woman that you have seen before. It is the one you know as the Crone. When you met her, well, I guess she's not familiar to you, Otis, but there is a woman there. Yeah.
How the fuck is this bitch?
And something I didn't do before that I'm going to do now, just take the time to do it now. Otis Herokin is a halfling who is a cleric of Obad High. He wears like a heavy armor that was granted to him by Obad High. He's got a mace that looks like a rose and yada yada yada. You'll learn about all this other stuff later on for all you at home listening to this. But just a little description of Otis Herokin. He looks like a 20-something-year-old man who is the size of a halfling. Who, I'd say more like 18 to 19. Year old man who is the size of a halfling who wears heavy armor, who is a cleric of Obad High. He rolls.
You forgot the like biggest fucking
descriptor
title. Yeah, descriptor title that he wears.
What's that?
Euquil's personal throwing halfling.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna save that for when you guys do it. Actually, like I was about to explain all kinds of things that he can do and yada yada yada, and I'm like, let's hold back. I'm new in town. No, wait, save something. Save something.
No.
Save something for the audience. Hold back. Anyway.
Oh, trust me, he's got enough wrinkles in his little repertoire that crackheads look at him and they're like, bruh.
Yeah. Well, so, but yeah, there's a woman standing there with Loudy, who she looks young. She goes by the title of the Crone, like, because everybody else recognizes her, but she doesn't look like a Crone. She looks like a young, fit, healthy, Peng Shunian human woman. Wearing a long silk gown and sticks in her hair to keep it up in a bun. But there is something very there's something mysterious, like a glint in her eye, like she's aggressively sexy.
All right.
You know. And yeah. So there's the crone, you know, and she's standing there with Lao D as you all approach. And she says, "Oh, good, you all are awake now."
Yep.
She says, "I have been sitting here talking with your companion, the detective here." She doesn't even call him by his name, which he takes notice to. He looks at her, you know. She says, "The detective here. And I was telling him that I have some friends who have or have requested a special audience with you all, if you don't mind accompanying me to meet with them."
Is that right?
I guess.
What's the loudy?
Laudy just shrugs. He goes, "I don't feel like we have to honor any of this hag's wishes."
Damn it, man.
All right.
Noted.
But
And he kind of turns back to the crone, and he's like, "Who is it that wishes to meet us?"
she says, "Well, first of all,"
I bet I could dare to take a guess.
she says, "first of all, it's more of a rhetorical question. You don't really turn this man down. Or you don't turn this man down. When he wants an audience, you take it. Second of all, he does say that he may have some information involving the business that you all are conducting. And that's all I can tell you. But if you really don't want to go, I will honor your wishes and return and tell him. But I want you to think of it more as a favor. And once you turn down one favor from him, he'll never ask you another." Oh, Otis, for your information, Laudy looks like a one of those bronze goldish looking dragoon with the bronze goldish scales. He's about as tall as you, Quill, a little thinner than the dragonborn you've met before. He's got like a long wispyish looking mustache and a very large sword that he keeps strapped to his back at all times. Just for your records.
Guess if I'm going to remember that.
He goes, in case I remember it. I might not remember it, but I might.
Hold your breath.
Fair enough, dude. Fair enough. I just was doing you the honor of because I realized now I have to kind of re-explain some things. So, you know. And that's fine. I don't mind doing that.
So Android feels like he can kind of guess Laudy's opinion, so he turns to Zoltan and Otis, and he's like, "Thoughts?"
I don't know what the heck's going on. I'm just here.
I mean,
Fair
if
enough.
if they
Zoltan,
say
thoughts?
they have information that could help us, I don't see how that could be bad.
Android says, but she says that she's asking, or that, that they're
It's a
asking a favor. Yeah,
Favors don't
exactly.
usually turn out well.
She says,
Yeah.
the favor.
Ask Otis.
She says, the favor. I couldn't help but hear you boys talking, and if you allow a humble female to interject into your men talk.
At
The-
that,
wish you
Android
close
kind
a-
of raises an eyebrow, and he's like, "No need for all of that."
She just kind of smiles, and she looks at Lao D, and Lao D at that just kind of shrugs, like, She goes, "You really are a foreigner.
Yeah.
If the favor in of itself is just that you hold audience with him, that's the only favor he's asking of you." She says he is the type of person you want on your side. And when she says that, Lao D just kind of snorts and goes, "I know what this is." Says, "But Android, it is completely up to you."
The Android just kind of rubs his chin a bit, and he says, "Well, favor, audience, that very well may be, but I'm not so unwise as to assume that this information, so to speak, won't come at a price, but we'll at least show up. We'll hear this out."
Or humor him.
Precisely.
She says, "Splendid." She says, "Follow me then." And she guides you guys not towards where she lives. You guys have been to where she lives. She lives kind of like in the slums, like in a what you would call a not so good neighborhood type of place. In fact, she takes you into a pretty regal looking part of the Forgotten City, where people actually have what they would, the equivalent of what you would consider a mansion. They don't look like the kind of mansions that you guys are used to seeing, but they are big, fancier looking structures. The rooftops are a little bit better taken care of, made out of a finer clay of the tiles. The towers that these roofs lead up to are a little bit higher than everybody else's and wider, making like I guess you could say octagon shaped. The towers themselves aren't even cylinder shaped. They're more octagon. They look like octagon slabs just stacked one on top of the other, reaching up into the sky with smaller octagon towers around them and whatnot. The one she takes you to is fancy, but it's not quite it's more it's not as conspicuous. It doesn't want to just stick out and say, "Hey, look at me," but it is nice. It's a wide building with a fairly tall tower that in the center of it. And she comes walking up. It sits inside behind a wall, a gated wall, and she comes walking up to it. And she says, "One moment." And she rings a bell that's sitting by the gate. She like pulls a little drawstring and rings a bell. And when she does that, after a minute, you see a dragoon start approaching the gate. This this dragoon he's wearing a long leather coat, and his shirt is made out of a fine gray silk. He's one of the red charcoal black dragoons.
Nice.
He's got tattoos all up and down his arms and stuff. And he comes walking up to the gate, and he says, "Yeah, what you want?" She says, "Tell Boss Kappa his company is here." And he says, "I don't need to tell him a thing. If you brought him, you brought him. come on in. And he swings the gate open for you guys. He looks at you, Android, and you, Zoltan, and Agaragis and Otis, and he goes. He kind of whispers, and you can roll a listen for this if you want. But he whispers something to the crone.
I can't replicate me.
Otis, Zoltan, and Android. You can all three roll for this if you want.
Secretly, I like men.
You're gonna
He's
have
like-
to give me a second. Mine's taking a minute.
He like whispers in her ear. I ate an entire White Castle burger through a straw one time.
I once put my
It's-
dick in a bag of Doritos.
And I like this.
These are dark times.
Dark times never lasts.
Only tough people
Only
lasts.
tough people last.
Okay, can it just let me?
Yeah. Dang, Zoltan, what is going on with you?
Yeah, Paige is unresponsive.
All right, I'm going to roll for you.
Thank you pretty much.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. It's just we've got exactly 2 minutes. Good grief. It's not anybody else. It's your character sheet. Your character sheet is having a hard time pulling up.
Exactly. I don't know what that's about. I can pull up my second character and it works.
Yeah.
Sultan's does not.
I think
I
it's
broke
because you have all this like clutter on your sheet. Like you need to close down some of these tabs, like your classes tabs and stuff. Yeah. Which I just did for you. You're welcome. Here we go.
Hooray!
Oh yeah. Okay. So Zoltan and Android hear it. Otis, you're still just kind of marveling at all this different culture. You know what I mean? That you're not even like concerned with anything that's being said. But Android and Zoltan, you guys hear him whisper in her ear. These are the guys who took out Mr. Blossom? You gotta be kidding me.
Okay, nah. Zoltan doesn't like this anymore.
Boss Kappa's gonna be real interested in meeting these thugs. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session, y'all.
Aw, thug.
I don't want to meet Mr. Blossom again. That man French kissed me, and I wasn't about that life. I wasn't about that life. I got kissed 2 times, and Zoltan did not like either of them.
Well, you know, it'll be all right. You'll be all right.
Nah.
Oh man. Well, everybody, we've got Otis back. So
Welcome back, Otis. Hooray.
Yay.
yeah. I'm gonna do this outro real fast, and then we'll delve into it a little bit more. But yeah, I want to thank all you Golden Wonders out there who listen to these sessions. You guys don't know how much that means to me. Like, share, and subscribe if it tickle your fancy, and leave us a comment down in the guest book, or what I call my comment sections. Go ahead and sign your name in the guest book. Tell us what you think. I wanna thank the Inglorious Few, or them old school gamers. I guess you guys are the Inglorious Mini now, aren't you? Or the Glorious Mini now, aren't you? But we'll get there.
We go by many names.
And we go by many names. No, but really, I couldn't ask for a better group. And again, Otis, it is so great to have you back, man. It is so great to have you back. Like, you hit the ground running, and it feels like you never even left. You meet Zoltan, and you met Zoltan, and then you're just meeting Zoltan. The very next, you're like, what the? Who is? Oh, brilliant, man. But yeah, I couldn't ask for a better group. I couldn't ask for a better bunch of viewers. I want you all to know, you old school gamers, you golden wonders, I love you guys with my very heart and soul. I'm just really blessed to have you all in my life, and I mean that. I'm not just doing that for the outro. I honestly mean that. I don't know. I guess I'm growing soft in my old age or something. I don't know, but with that said, y'all come back now and stay golden. Say goodnight, everybody.
Adios.
Chica Tuare.
I love how Otis said goodnight, but it got drowned out instantly by you, Quill. Like, I heard him just faintly say goodnight, and then there's you, Quill.